Chapter 233, The Attention of the Six Major Sects, the Central Castle of the Competition Space. The elders of the six major sects could no longer describe their feelings with words at this time. That sword master named Lu Muyen from a small kingdom completely impressed them. The gaze of the elder of the Spirit Tamers sect towards Lu Muyen was as gentle as it could get, with also a sharp light of desire. With such talent as a beast tamer, if she doesn't come to our Spirit Tamers sect, then it'd be a waste. The cyan-clothed elderly man of the Spirit Tamers sect said forcefully with a smile. The strong and sturdy elderly man snorted coldly. I'd say her best talent is in arrays, don't even think about contending for her with his old man. Such a good seedling our 8 Extreme sect would never let go this time. In the last 2 sessions of the Tianling Continent Tournament for Hegemony, the 8 Extreme sect had been robbed of many good seedlings by the other 5 sects, so this time he definitely wouldn't compromise and let go of Lu Muyen. The tall and thin man from the Sword sect sneered after hearing his words. Do we even need the 8 Extreme sect to let go? If you can really persuade Lu Muyen to go to your 8 Extreme sect, then very well, our Sword sect would not compete with you, big deal. Among the 6 major sects, the 8 Extreme sect was last in every sect competition. The top 10 sword masters participating in the tournament for Hegemony had the right to choose their own sect, and there had already been 2 consecutive sessions where no one had chosen the 8 Extreme sect. The remaining 90 people were divided equally into each sect, and not many of the young sword masters who were assigned to the 8 Extreme sect were sincerely willing. This rogue old man actually wanted to take this year's dark horse back to the 8 Extreme sect. He truly was indulging in the wildest fantasy. They believed that with Lu Muyen's intelligence and cleverness, she definitely wouldn't choose the 8 Extreme sect that was at the bottom of the 6 major sects, so they didn't take it to heart at all. This is what you said, Humph. The strong and sturdy elderly man snorted coldly. He was well aware of the thoughts of the other sect elders, but it was rare to encounter such a good seedling who had such talent for the path of the arrays, so no matter what conditions he had to make, he would not give it up. Alright now. If she can advance into the top 100 of the tournament, then we'll rely on our own abilities to try to contend for her. The wise old man from the Heavenly Secret Palace said slowly. This dark horse, the Secret Heavenly Palace, would take it. The elders of the other sects also had their own plans in mind. Either way, aside from those who were already predetermined in the top 10 of each tournament, whenever they encountered a dark horse, each sect could offer conditions to tempt them. The competition amongst the sects had long become a sort of intangible common practice. The elders of the various sects had different expressions, while a very small arc rose on the lips of the otherworldly, handsome, white-clothed man sitting at the very back. Woman, I believe we'll meet again very soon. In the canyon, Luo Li and the others looked at Lu Muyen in disbelief. She was actually also a high-level spirit beast master? Wasn't this too exaggerated? She could refine pills, could brew spiritual wine, knew the path of the arrays, and now she could even contract spirit pets. Just what did she not know how to do? What are you looking at me for? Hurry up and kill the demonic beast so that we can return to the city. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows when she saw that everyone was staring at her. The others lowered their heads speechlessly and began to kill the demonic beasts in front of them. However, they noted Lu Muyen down, thinking that it would be best to befriend her in the future. Lu Muyen, do you know how to refine tools? Luo Li approached her and asked. Lu Muyen said with amusement, I haven't refined before. Only after hearing her say this did they find a little balance in their hearts. Otherwise, with a woman with such heaven-defying talent, how could these men, who claimed to be geniuses, continue to live? The other Tier 7 demon cultivator with an antenna was forced by Luo Yi to transform into his original form and retreat in a sorry state. But he also gave a cold look towards Lu Muyen before escaping. After all the demonic beasts in the fire array were killed, Lu Muyen and the others' points soared rapidly. Her current total points ranking had already advanced to 23rd place. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, let's go back to the city first. With a thought, the jade magic tools buried in the ground to trigger the fire array were automatically shattered into powder. She had just advanced to Sword Monarch with the help of the battle with the Tier 7 demonic beast and the spiritual clouds, so now she needed to return to the city to stabilize her cultivation base. Let's go. Luo Yi also knew that she wanted to go back to the city to stabilize her cultivation base, so he was very cooperative. Lu Muyen only took 2 steps before she suddenly turned around and said to Sinan, by the way, they used my fire array just now and need to hand over 2/3 of the demonic beast's crystal cores, so the task of collecting crystal cores is left to you. The corner of Sinan's lips twitched. Sure, you all leave first, I'll see you when I return to the city. He just tied with Luo Li in the competition to kill the most demonic beasts, and his interest in Lu Muyen was currently very strong, so he naturally wouldn't give up his attention for her. Mo Ling looked calmly at Lu Muyen, Luo Yi, and the others leaving, exuding a cool pride and aloofness. Mo Ling, how many demonic beasts did you kill? Hand over the demonic beast's crystal cores. Sinan walked up to Mo Ling's group and said with a slovenly smile. Mo Ling didn't quite like the androgynous, capricious Sinan, so he didn't want to be too entangled with him. He took out the demonic beast's crystal cores he had long prepared and tossed it to him, all in here. After he finished speaking, he took the few elite pupils under him and followed in the footsteps of Lu Muyen and the others. Sinan pursed his lips. How very boring. After returning to the city, Lu Muyen arranged an array in her room and began to meditate to consolidate her cultivation base. And the news that she could use a fire array to kill medium and small-sized beast tides by isolating and separating them into waves was also spread by scheming people, including the matter of being able to contract Tier 7 spirit pets. However, although there were many people who believed in the situation about the fire array, but was it even possible for a small kingdom sword master to actually be able to contract a demonic beast 2 stages higher than herself? Either way, they wouldn't believe it. When Lu Muyen woke up, she was filled with spiritual energy, and when she flipped her hand over, a cluster of pure crimson flames leapt about her palm. Your fire elemental energy has become much purer again. Mo Yen felt the temperature in the room suddenly rise and raised his head, saying lightly. Lu Muyen's lips curled into a smile. Indeed. She got up and poked Mo Yan's body, blinking as she said, "Didn't you want to teach me your secret skill?" Mo Yen looked at her without a good attitude, while he had a faint smile in his eyes. Then let's start learning now. So Lu Muyen didn't leave her room, and began to cultivate the secret skill with Mo Yen. One day and one night passed. Although Luo Li and the others didn't know when she would come out, but they didn't disturb her. They rested in their rooms during the day and didn't even go out hunting at night. When a ray of morning light broke through the darkness and illuminated the earth, Lu Muyen opened the door and left her room. After she existed, the members of the 4 groups gathered together to have a discussion. Well, leave during the day and directly go hunting at night. Lu Muyen suggested when she saw that the others were filled with energy, having not gone hunting during the time she cultivated. Sure. Everyone was very satisfied with her suggestion. Even if they didn't compete with other teams for demonic beasts during the day, they could still prepare for beast tides. The 4 teams left the city early in the morning and headed towards the distant mountains to hunt. Along the way, it was as if the demonic beasts had disappeared completely, not even seeing a single fur. Everyone knew that this was because they were hunted and killed by the teams of other kingdoms. Right when the 4 teams were discussing to leave and rest at the foot of a mountain nearby to wait for nightfall, there was a sudden sound of battling from the rear. Lu Muyen's expression changed, and although she had already walked for a while, she immediately turned around and flew in the direction of the fight. Chapter 234. Retaliate. Verbally hearing the battling sounds at their rear, Lu Muyen turned around and flew towards it. Why did she turn back? Helian Lai asked in confusion as he looked at Lu Muyen's back that disappeared from sight. Luo Li shook his head. Don't know. Lu Mu Bai and the others exchanged a look, then turned around and followed without hesitation. Let's go take a look too. Luo Yi furrowed his brows slightly. He felt that Lu Muyen's emotions changed drastically just now. Luo Li and Si Nan couldn't wait any longer to begin with and flew straight into the woods. Lu Muyen didn't take it to heart when she heard the sound of fighting just now. After all, there were often scenes of fighting happening over the competition for demonic beasts. But after walking for a while, she suddenly felt Yi Qinghan's elemental energy fluctuation, so she couldn't resist any longer and headed back. After quickly rushing into an open area, she jumped onto a big tree and looked down. All she saw was Ling Fei Yang's lips smeared with a streak of undried blood, face pale, and he stood towards the back, guarding a beautiful, white-clothed woman. Mu Yi and Shifeng's aura was weak, and one could tell they were seriously injured with one look. There were 2 men beside them who were seriously injured and in a coma. Yi Qinghan, dressed in dark patterned black clothes, held a long sword tightly, and his clothes were ripped in many places. He stood in front of the injured people and stared at the 7 people in front of him with a cold expression. The people in front of him were none other than Mu Tong and Ji Yu, whom Lu Muyen knew. You guys really overrate your own abilities, daring to resist us with such little strength. Mu Tong looked at the several people arrogantly and pursed her lips. The white-clothed woman whom Ling Fei Yang was supporting had a cold look, gasping for breath, saying, Mu Tong, you let them go and I'll let you do to me as you please. Mu Tong sneered, "My good elder sister, your ability to seduce men sure isn't weak. Just how long has it been, and you've already seduced these people to protect you with their lives. But since you're going to die, then it's natural for me as your younger sister to fulfill you a bit. It's better to send all these adulterers to hell to accompany you." Seeing Mu Ning's face grow more and more ugly, a joyous mockery rose in her heart. "Mu Tong, do not speak such nonsense." Mu Ning spurted out a mouthful of blood and her face grew even whiter with anger. The joy in Mu Tong's eyes wasn't concealed. "Elder sister, you've done it, as simple as that, why don't you dare to admit it?" Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. The white-clothed woman seemed to have an extremely cold and calm temperament, and if she fought verbally she simply wouldn't be Mu Tong's opponent. Enough, just kill her. Jiyu couldn't bear to look at Mu Ning, then his gaze fell on Ling Fei Yang with a look of disgust in his cold eyes. He waved his hand to the people behind him, "Leave none." As his former betrothed, Mu Ning came to this competition space and actually hooked up with another man. This made Jiyu feel very unhappy, as if he had been given a green hat to wear. Ling Fei Yang was still gentle and elegant, but had some regret in his eyes. Was he going to die here in the end? Mu Yi and Shi Feng both revealed signs of hopelessness. They simply weren't a match for their opponents. It seemed that this time they were going to fall in this competition space. The white knuckles of Yi Qinghan's hand that was holding the long sword revealed that he was not at all at peace. He was the strongest in their group. If he wanted to abandon them and escape, he could still do it, but he wasn't able to do such a thing. Was he going to die? A beautiful, elegant, purple-clothed figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Was she well right now? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Although Yi Qinghan felt the shadow of death gradually looming over, but he didn't want to give up. Don't give up. Even if we die, we have to pull a few people down for us to lie on. His voice wasn't loud but carried with it a firm determination. Even if he fell here today, he would definitely make Jiyu and the others pay a heavy price. Mu Ning pressed her lips together tightly and she couldn't hide the apologetic look in her eyes. She knew that with Mu Tong and Ji's temperament, they would definitely never let Ling Fei Yang and the others go. It was she who harmed them all. After hearing the order, the people behind Jiyu took a step and swung their swords to kill the severely injured people. But who knew that a playful woman's voice sounded in the woods? "It sure is the first time I've seen such a shameless woman in this world, not only hooking up with her elder sister's betrothed to become an adulterous couple, but they even have the nerve to say that others are unclean. It truly makes me laugh aloud." Jiyu and the others didn't notice anyone else in the forest before at all, and when they heard this voice they all looked in that direction. All they saw was an alluring woman in a light purple dress, with a hint of ridicule on her face, jumping down from a big tree and walking over in a leisurely manner as if walking in a courtyard. "It's you, bitch." Mu Tong couldn't resist but curse Lu Muyen when she saw that it was her. Lu Muyen glanced at her. "Not as much of a bitch as you. Miss, this is our private matter, please don't get involved and leave quickly." Yi Qinghan still had a cold expression on his face while restraining his excitement. But his clenched fists betrayed his nervousness at this time. When Ling Fei Yang and the others saw Lu Muyen appear, they couldn't help but sigh with relief, but then their hearts began to hover again. No one called out her name and they pretended not to know her when they saw her. Jiyu and the others came from a superpower kingdom and were very powerful. Lu Muyen wasn't their opponent at all. They couldn't drag her into the water with them. Lu Muyen smiled and walked to Yi Qinghan's side, looking at him with slight mischievousness, saying, "Qinghan, why, don't you know me anymore after not seeing me for a few months? I'm going to be hurt." After she finished speaking, she looked at him as if she was so aggrieved she wanted to cry. Yi Qinghan's heart softened and he sighed helplessly. "In such a situation, why do you need to get involved? You are all important people to me, so of course I won't sit idly by." Lu Muyen smiled indifferently. "Besides, I just don't think they're pleasing to the eyes." Hearing her say that they were all important people, Yi Qinghan's long and narrow eyes rippled, his heart soft and warm. This was the woman he had deeply fallen in love with steadfast loyalty. "Oh, I was wondering who came out to fight the injustice, so it turned out to be you, wanton woman." Mu Tong spoke with ridicule when she saw the interaction between Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan, hating inwardly. "What? Luo Li dumped you, and now you've come to snatch men from my elder sister? Mu Tong, you're slandering." Mu Ning's eyes were filled with killing intent. Yi Qinghan didn't explain. He had nothing to do with Mu Ning to begin with. It would only be more chaotic if he said more. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and said with a smile, "Only a wanton woman would see everyone else as such." A woman like you who seduced your brother-in-law to bed should have been caged in a pig cage long ago, yet you still have face to display your love with that adulterer, as if you fear others won't know how many disgusting things a cheating couple like you have done behind the scenes. She had already heard Luo Li talk about Mu Tong, the second daughter of the main bloodline. Her mother was the Mu patriarch's little concubine that became the official wife, and also his so-called true love. After Mu Tun came of age, she schemed and snatched her elder sister's betrothed and even slandered her elder sister's reputation. It seemed that the white-clothed woman beside Ling Fei Yang was Mu Tong's elder sister, Mu Ning. This woman was solitary and cold, without much scheming. No wonder she could be schemed by the mother and daughter pair. Lu Muyen, are you going to meddle in our affairs today? Jiyu stared at Lu Muyen coldly with a very ugly expression. Having the past between he and Mu Tong revealed by Lu Muyen just like that, it not only made him look bad, but the killing intent could no longer be stopped either. Chapter 235. The killing intent of each person. Yes, undisguised killing intent was revealed. Are you going to meddle in our affairs today? How can this bear affairs? Lu Muyen folded her arms, her voice cold. My friends and my elder cousin brothers were severely injured by you, so this debt must be settled clearly. There is a path to heaven that you don't take, instead you want to break into hell that has no path. Ji's eyes revealed ruthlessness. Today will be your death day. Lu Muyen chuckled, the sharpness in her eyes flashing. He'll see how you can turn today into my death day. The killing intent on her body was not concealed the slightest. Jiyu and his party had possessed killing intent towards her for a long time, and they were going to kill Yi Qinghan and Ling Fei Yang just now too. They already stepped on her baseline. Arrogant. Jiyu sneered, and two dark golden scimitars appeared in his hands. Mu Yen, he already has the strength to fight a sword sovereign. Yi Qinghan stepped forward to block Lu Muyen. Let me. Lu Muyen's heart warmed. She took out a few bottles of healing medicine from her interspatial ring and tossed it to the people behind, then tugged Yi Qinghan's sleeve and said softly, Qinghan, believe me. Luo Li and Si Nen felt extremely sour when they saw Lu Muyen showing a warm expression to the handsome, black-clothed man. Who was that man to Lu Muyen? He didn't quite look like her lover. Yi Qinghan's heart trembled, pursed his thin lips and took a step back. Muyen, be careful. This sentence fully demonstrated his trust. A woman like Lu Muyen would feel disdain at hiding behind a man. What she wanted was to stand side by side. Lu Muyen stuffed a bottle of medicine for internal injury into his hand. You take a rest first. All right. Yi Qinghan took the porcelain bottle that still had Lu Muyen's body temperature, held it tightly and stepped aside, watching the others vigilantly after taking a pill. Jiyu narrowed his eyes dangerously. This woman would surely become a serious problem in the future. You kill her. Mu Tong looked at Lu Muyen sinisterly. Ever since she fought against Lu Muyen that day, she knew that she wasn't her opponent. Only Jiyu could kill her. You all go and kill the others first to avoid future troubles. Jiyu coldly swept his gaze over Yi Qinghan and the others. While he was fighting Lu Muyen, he didn't want to let these people go, and wanted to catch everything in one net. Mu Tong nodded, a happy smile appearing on her pretty face. She looked at Mu Ning meaningfully and said, Elder sister, don't blame younger sister for being cruel. Who told you to be so unpleasant to look at? It's already at our tolerance limit for my mother and I to have let you live until now. There is the first elder in the Mu clan to protect you, but now let younger sister send you off. Because Mu Ning's mother occupied the position of the official wife, and once had a powerful maternal clan, her mother had to endure being a concubine and she also had to remain as a concubine's daughter for more than a decade. But the heavens had eyes and Mu Ning's maternal grandfather's clan offended a powerful force and was exterminated, giving her mother the opportunity to remove that woman who was occupying that position. Although she had become the daughter of the official wife, but Mu Ning had the most powerful first elder of the Mu clan protecting her. That's why she and her mother hadn't been able to find a chance to act. Now that she had such an opportunity, how could she let go of it? The jealousy and hatred in her heart had long made her want to tear Mu Ning into thousands of pieces. Cough cough. Mu Ning coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood. Her eyes revealed a deep feeling of remorse. She wasn't afraid of death but regretted that she couldn't avenge her mother. Ling Fei Yang felt her emotions and held her hand, his warm voice soothing, Don't be afraid. We won't die. Mu Ning's cold eyes rarely fluctuated slightly. Sorry, it's all because of me to have caused you trouble. No worries. Ling Fei Yang's handsome and unparalleled face had a smile, and his calmness gave Mu Ning a peace of mind. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Pei, you're all going to die and you're still acting romantic and confiding in each other, shameless. Mu Tong hated Mu Ning not only for her identity, but also because of Mu Ning's face that was known as the #1 beauty of the empire. Seeing so many men be enamored with Mu Ning, she couldn't help but feel envious. Lu Muyen found that Ling Fei Yang's attitude towards Mu Ning was rather different. Could it be that this was the woman her elder cousin brother truly liked? She didn't dislike Mu Ning. Since she was the woman that elder cousin brother liked, then she was naturally the object of her protection. Right now she was going to fight against Ji Yu, but Yi Qing Han and the others had been severely injured, so they definitely wouldn't be the 6 advanced phase sword monarch's opponents. If you've watched enough drama, then come out and help. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow at the woods not far away. If Helian Lai and Sinan wanted to befriend her, then they should at least show some sincerity. Sinan walked out gaudily with his gold foil folding fan. I was just about to come out to help you when you called me. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. This gaudy man sure was thick-skinned. Helian Lai still looked like an uninhibited romantic, looking as if I was also here to help. Luoli walked quickly towards Lu Muyen's side and looked at Ji Yu unhappily. Ji Yu, you're too conceited. Humph. Don't think that I won't dare touch you just because you're from the Luo clan. Ji Yu hated Luoli extremely. He temporarily yielded before because of Luo Yi and the Luo clan, but it made Luoli even more arrogant. His face was grim and a black pellet fell in his hand. He squeezed it gently, and the black pellet turned into a very light black smoke, disappearing into the air. Lu Muyen habitually observed her opponent's every move, so she naturally didn't miss Ji Ye's movements. A ridicule rose on her lips, wanting to ask for reinforcements? That kind of black pellet was used as a secret code. Once crushed, it couldn't be stopped, but Lu Muyen wasn't afraid of Ji Ye's helpers either. Ji Yu, now it's your fault for doing all this. Why fuss with a woman? A man should be open-minded. No wonder that although you're the crown prince, but you've been severely suppressed by 4th prince. Your bearing is indeed much inferior to Ji Xian's. Sinan pretended to sigh, specifically attacking the other party's sore spot. Ji Ye's face was even more grim. What he hated most were those who compared him with Ji Xian. Sinan was truly too hateful. Luo Yi didn't walk over but just leaned against a tree and looked over. If one watched closely, one could see that his clean dark eyes actually had no focus. With the strength of the several people, he no longer needed to intervene. Sinan, are you really going to help that woman from a small kingdom? Ji Yu asked with furrowed brows. Sinan's androgynous handsome face wore a charming smile. The little beauty has spoken, so how can I bear to refuse? You know that I show the most pity and tender care for Jade. Damned shameless bastard. Luo Li rolled his eyes at Sinan, really wanting to punch that frivolous face. The corner of Lu Muyen's lips twitched. Even fights between women don't dawdle as much as you two. It's all Ji Yu who led us to talk. A narrow-minded man talks the most. Sinan decisively pulled Ji Yu out to take the blame. The anger in Ji Ye's chest was burning. He said so many words mainly to delay time and wait for the other 3 allied kingdoms to come to help, but who knew that it would be accidentally messed up by Lu Muyen. Stop being so talkative, you guys will be responsible for killing that woman who's unpleasant to look at and the others. Lu Muyen pointed in Mu Tong's direction, then her eyes were filled with a strong fighting intent. Let me experience a little of Ji Ye's combat power that's comparable to a sword sovereign. In her previous battle with the mountain-moving beast, she mainly used the opponent's weakness and found a shortcut, so it wasn't difficult to win that battle. Although Ji Yu was at peak phase sword monarch cultivation base, but he had the qualifications to fight against a sword sovereign, so she definitely wanted to experience it somewhat, so as to also find her own shortcomings and inadequacies. Only by fighting against people whose cultivation base was stronger than her could she make progress. This was the principle she had always followed. Basically, I gave you a chance but you're not taking it. Chapter 236. Sudden change. Lu Muyen's fighting spirit was high, but Ji Yu felt bitter in his heart. He didn't expect that killing a mere Lu Muyen and a group of people from a small kingdom would lead to a joint confrontation between Sinan, Luo Li, and Helian Lai. Sinan, have you really thought it through in going against our empire? Sinan closed his folding fan, and his handsome facial features were gorgeous. I will naturally cooperate with the Bowtie's request. It was just killing an elite team, he didn't care even if the opponent was also from a superpower kingdom. Sinan's androgynous face was exceedingly handsome, and he usually met people with a poisonous mouth and a slovenly attitude, but his temperament was actually capricious, and he didn't avoid killing. Shameless bastard, stop wasting time talking to him. Luo Li glared at Sinan, then waved his long sword and greeted Mu Tong. Sinan coughed dryly, then said to Helian Lai, "I'll take for you too. Why share, just gang fight?" Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at Sinan. "They've got so many people bullying my elder cousin brother, can't you gang fight them?" The corners of Sinan's eyes twitched. Lu Muyen's belly was also filled with bad water one. But he liked it. "What are you still standing there for? Gang fight." He turned his head and huffed at the rest of his elite team. To deal with GS lackeys, it was indeed wasting big talent on a petty job if he stepped forward. Helian Lai looked at Lu Muyen in amusement, then instructed the rest of his team, "You all go up too." The people in Luo Li's team were also eager to move. They had long been displeased with Jiyu and his team. "Go." Luo Li's voice sounded leisurely. No longer fighting alone, the few people were soon surrounded by several groups of people, and various sword lights of different colors flashed continuously as the surrounding trees fell one after another. "Luo Li, you really dare to try to kill me?" Mu Tong covered her chest with a look of horror, blood stained all over her body. Luo Li sneered, "Do you, an ugly woman, think you're a celestial or something? This young master will kill if I want to. Even if others are afraid of the Mu clan but am not." With a ruthless look in Mu Tong's eyes, she mobilized her elemental energy and began to cast a secret skill. Mu Ning looked at the secret skill she was using with a chill in her eyes. This was originally a method that the Mu clan only passed on to the main sons and main daughters, but that good father of hers had never mentioned it to her. Who knew that he already passed it on to Mu Tong? The desolation in her heart had long been replaced by disappointment time and again, and now she had no other feelings other than hatred. Mu Tong used the secret skill, but Luo Li wasn't a vegetarian too either. The two quickly battled together. Lu Muyen stood in the sky with her golden longsword beneath her feet, formed a few Taoist seals with her hands, then with a wave of her palm, a lifelike fire dragon created from elemental energy loomed over Ji's head. Jiyu snorted coldly, and the dark golden scimitars in both hands were tossed out together. Two powerful light shadows slashed towards the fire dragon in the air. The fire dragon roared, and its four sharp claws met the two light shadows. The space shook a few times, then after the fire dragon met the light shadows, it lit up with a dazzling and brilliant light. After the forces cancelled each other out, the light shadows were shattered by the giant claws of the fire dragon and disappeared into the light. The fire dragon also gradually grew transparent due to the force. "You sure have a lot of unconventional means." Jiyu looked at Lu Muyen with an ugly expression. He had used 9/10 of his power just now, yet who knew that it was scattered by the fire dragon condensed by Lu Muyen? Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow, "Then I'll let you see this young Miss Sword skills." With a thought, the golden long sword beneath her feet instantly turned into 10 flying swords, all of which rose into the sky. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks quick. With a light shout, the 10 small swords swirled and flew downwards, enclosing Jiyu in a circle. Sword array. Ji's expression changed and cautiously held the scimitars while channeling elemental energy into them. Arcs formed by metal elemental energy sword auras erupted from the scimitar with an imposing manner. "Take this." At this time, even Jiyu had to admit that Lu Muyen's array attainments were indeed powerful. Not only could she use fire elemental energy to create a besieging array, but now she even brought in a sword array within her sword intent. This woman must be rid of. There were more than 100 golden arcs, and they each carried an aura of pressure from a peak phase sword monarch. As soon as they exploded outwards, they wanted to destroy the flying swords that besieged him. Lu Muyen's lips curled up. Rise? The 10 golden flying swords instantly spun around, and hurricanes whirled from the sword array, swallowing the 100 arcs within it. Clang clang. Sounds like war on a battlefield resounded. Many sword aura arcs were destroyed by the hurricane, while a small portion overflowed and attacked the flying swords violently. The 10 flying swords retreated a distance of 100 meters away under the influence of the sword aura arcs, but their own sword light didn't dim at all as it continued to rotate, and a hurricane formed again. G's eyes revealed ruthlessness, and the scimitars in his hands flew out, suddenly landing above Lu Muyen's head, growing larger with a killing aura. Cut. He poured the elemental energy of his entire body into the scimitars and said viciously. The scimitars instantly shone brightly and made a few humming sounds. Its power at this moment had already exceeded the strength of a sword monarch. A portion of Lu Muyen's spiritual energy was suppressed by the mighty energy. This was precisely caused by the gap in cultivation base. But there was no fear in her eyes, instead she smiled and said, "Excellent." She pinched a few seals with her hands, then the 10 flying swords seemed to have come to their senses and also let out some hums. The hurricane that was formed suddenly intensified, annihilating the remaining sword aura arcs. The flying swords didn't remain, and like rows of fish playing in water, they flew with liveliness above Lu Muyan's head, instantly merging into a giant golden sword. Under the function of the sword array, countless sword aura light shadows flickered around the giant sword. Although the pressure it exuded was inferior to the enlarged scimitars, but its momentum wasn't weak at all. Jiye's Saint tool was made of high-grade metal attribute materials and if brought out, could be coveted by many, but Lu Muyan's natal magic tool was not only made from several rare metal attribute materials obtained from the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, but she also added the earth-rank spiritual item, the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal. Therefore, even if her cultivation base and pressure was inferior to Jiye's scimitars, but her sword was superior to his scimitars by numerous folds, which perfectly made up for her shortcomings. Jiyu was a favored child of heaven to begin with, so his visions naturally weren't short-sighted. Seeing that Lu Muyan's flying swords could actually achieve unity of heart and mind with her, and most importantly, was that it was even able to compete with his Saint tool he was proud of, this golden longsword definitely was extraordinary. A touch of greed flashed across his eyes, but a voice suddenly sounded in his mind and his eyes revealed surprise. The suddenly enlarged scimitars slashed down heavily, while the golden giant sword humming happily, as if excited by seeing some delicious food. Lu Muyan's expression revealed slight strangeness. The natal magic tool that was connected to her mind actually passed on to her a desire to devour the dark golden scimitars. Did she raise this to give birth to a tool spirit so fast? But that wasn't quite right either. The purple gold spirit flame within her dantian leapt around, with the humming of the giant sword, as if it had been stimulated with excitement, wanting to leap out. This kind of sudden change even caught her off guard. Lu Muyan hurriedly mobilized the green fog in her dantian to suppress and conceal it, then her mind became clear and she had a guess in her heart. 1. To have a belly filled with bad water means that she's filled with wicked ideas. 2. Being a vegetarian means being weak in this case, so it's saying here that Luoli wasn't weak either. Chapter 237. Talisman Master Jiye's suddenly enlarged scimitars slashed down heavily after he channeled elemental energy into it, attempting to slice apart the golden giant sword above Lu Muyan's head, and while it was at it, also take her head. Seeing the scimitars slashing down with boundless power, as if it could defeat Lu Muyan as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, Luo Li and the others all stared at Lu Muyan's figure with nervousness, for fear that something would happen to her. But right now, even if any one of them wanted to intervene, it would be too late. Lu Muyan's eyes were like chilling stars. She narrowed her eyes dangerously. This Jiyu actually wanted to behead her. It made an unprecedented killing intent rise within her. Break. She no longer suppressed the purple gold spirit flame in her body and allowed it to dance in her dantian. A sliver of a natal fire origin overflowed from her meridians and merged with the spiritual energy, channeling it into her natal magic tool. The golden giant sword that guarded above her head hummed cheerfully under the support of the purple gold spirit flame, and turned into a soft sword, wrapping around the huge scimitars that had swung down. Clang. There was only a slight noise when the two touched. Just when everyone thought that Lu Muyan might be hurt by the sword aura of the scimitars, they saw her golden giant sword softly wrap around the scimitars, preventing it from moving half a step, and they all showed a frightened expression. Just what sort of saint tool did Lu Muyan own? Could even change shape freely? Jiye's eyes revealed a bit of horror. He found that the connection between himself and the scimitar saint tools was actually slowly weakening, and the power of the scimitar saint tools were also fading. Just what was happening? Lu Muyan looked at the extremely soft and flexible soft sword in surprise and couldn't resist holding her forehead. Was this still a sword? Why was it so much like a rope? Because the natal magic tool was connected to her mind, so she could deeply feel its excitement and hunger at this time. Those dark golden scimitars were precisely the food it wanted to forcibly obtain. With the help of that wisp of purple gold spirit flame, the heat of the golden sword continued to rise, gradually blending with the scimitars. What? How could this be? My saint tool. The connection between the scimitars and Jiyu had completely cut off, and his mouth was wide open, while his expression was filled with incredulity. Lu Muyan blinked. The heavenly frost golden essence used to refine her natal magic tool was a divine rank spiritual item born alongside the purple gold spirit flame to begin with. The two of them were subdued and refined by her, so although she was very surprised that the golden sword could now borrow the power of the purple gold spirit flame to devour other weapons of the same attribute, but it was understandable. There was a smile in her eyes. Who knew that G.S. scimitars had accidentally activated the devouring talent of her natal magic tool? In the future, the natal magic tool could not only be cultivated and upgraded in her body, but it could also be upgraded by devouring high-level magic tools of the same attribute. She had only heard of such a magic tool in the immortal cultivation world, but she had never seen it before. This time, it actually happened to her own natal magic tool, which made her unable to resist rejoicing. G.S. expression was ugly, and the voice in his mind grew stronger and stronger. His gaze swept over the people on Lu Muyan's side with some fear, and his eyes revealed a firm and vicious look. Today, even if he won Lu Muyan by using all his trump cards, but there were still Luo Yi, Sinan, and the others. It was simply impossible for him to truly kill her. He looked at the scimitars that he had lost connection with grimly, then resolutely took out a talisman from his interspatial ring. He channeled elemental energy into it, his heart in pain at using this, and with a tight squeeze, his figure suddenly blurred and quickly disappeared in this forest. His aura no longer existed within thousands of li. It's the wind-riding talisman. Sinan said with furrowed brows. Lu Muyan knew that there were actually 3 types of smiths on this continent. One was simply a pure smith, one was a leather armor master, and the final one was a talisman master one. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Smiths mainly refined attack and defense type magic tools, and usually needed spars for refining to refine them. Leader armor masters were different as they mainly used demonic beast skin and bone as the main materials for refining and were mostly refined into leather armor worn on the body for defense. Meanwhile, a talisman master mainly refined talismans, sealing some spells or arrays into the talisman which could be used for battle and could also assist in cultivating and saving one's life. Among the 3 professions, the pure smith was the most popular, followed by talisman master, then finally leather armor master. Of course, if there was a sword master with excelling talent, then they could also learn all 3. What's the wind-riding talisman? Used to escape? Lu Muyan looked at Sinan and asked. As an almighty of the immortal cultivation world, she could refine talismans, but the talisman masters on this continent were super rare professions like spiritual wine masters. Yanzhou Kingdom had no talisman masters at all, and there were very few related records, so she wasn't very clear about the details of talisman masters. Seeing Jiyu take out the wind-riding talisman just now, she felt a familiar aura. It shouldn't be too different from the talismans she knew of. Sinan pierced the enemy's heart directly with his golden foil folding fan, then the fan returned to his hand without a drop of blood. The wind-riding talisman can be regarded as a middle-grade talisman. It can improve the sword master's speed by 10 to 30 times. Jiyu used it to escape. Lu Muyan lowered her head and pondered. It could increase the user's speed by 10 to 30 times. It seemed to be even more powerful than the divine movement talisman of the spiritual world. It seemed that not everything on this continent was inferior to the immortal cultivation world. There were still many things she needed to learn and understand. Don't worry, Ji's younger brother, Ji Xian, would rather him die and won't help him. What's more, we've killed all his men now, so he won't be able to achieve anything in the future. Seeing her lower her head in thought, Sinan guessed that she was afraid that after Jiyu ran away, he would become a serious concern in the future, so he spoke out to reassure her. Lu Muyan raised her head and chuckled. I'm just thinking about the wind-riding talisman. No one can say for certain whether Jiyu can achieve anything or not in the future. It's useless to think too much now that the person's run away. Jiyu was ruthless and decisive in doing things. This time, by letting him escape, it had indeed left future trouble. But Lu Muyan didn't think too much about it. When the boat reached the bridge, it would naturally pass underneath without much trouble too. She just thought that the next time she met Jiyu, she must not let him run away. The wind-riding talisman is rarely found in the outside world. Ji's maternal clan has a guest grade 3 talisman master, so that talisman must have been given to him by his maternal grandfather. Sinan paused, then said, the requirements for becoming a talisman master are very harsh. Only a smith that had comprehended the fire element, metal element and earth element can refine them, so talismans are a very rare thing. Then isn't a talisman master very popular and makes a lot of money? Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with bright light. The corner of Sinan's lips twitched. A mysterious and unfathomable talisman master seemed to have just become a tool for making money coming from Lu Muyan's mouth. If there were pedantic and inflexible people here that stubbornly sucked to outworn rules and ideas, they would definitely curse her for being a disgrace to the cultured. Actually, these special occupations aren't something one can become just by having talent. Although many people compete for the things that they refine and they practically have no shortage of money, but the initial investment cost is also huge. Without some capital for consumption to advance in grade, one could only waste their talent. Xinan said a little more indirectly. Lu Muyen nodded. It was indeed far too difficult to advance in grade without a strong family background or without their own fortuitous opportunities. For example, a talisman master. Just the blood essence of various demonic beasts and various beast skins as main materials in the early stages already cost a lot of money. Her eyes shone brightly. After she went to a sect, she could study the talisman skills of this continent a bit. Although she wasn't very interested in smithing, but because talismans were related to a race, so she was rather thorough in her research of talismans. 1. Time to go back and correct each time I use the word talisman into something different. It may be into rune. I think all along the author has been using the word rune. Oh, the difficulties of grasping the nuances in another language when they use practically the exact same characters. Anyways, the talismans mentioned here are those rectangular pieces of paper that you might have seen before with unique characters and symbols drawn on them. Apologies if you do see some discrepancies for a while, since I might not get to correcting some terminology from previous chapters for a bit. Two things will work itself out eventually. Luoli, you can't kill me. If you kill me, our Mu clan will never let you go. At this time, Mu Tong was in a complete sorry state. Her clothes were completely stained with blood, and her hair had become loose and messy. Seeing Jiyu abandon her, she felt a chill in her heart and looked at Luoli in horror. Tsk, our Luo clan will be afraid of your Mu clan? Luoli pursed his lips in disdain. Seeing Jiyu escape, the group of elites, aside from Mu Tong, were all dead from being ganged up on. He turned to look at Lu Muyen and aside, how should we handle her? Lu Muyen glanced at Mu Tong casually. She didn't want to dirty her own hands, but inadvertently saw the killing intent in Mu Ning's eyes. She walked over and said with a smile on her face, "I'll give her to you to deal with." Mu Ning didn't expect Lu Muyen to say such a thing to her and asked in surprise, "Why?" "Because you might be my future elder cousin's sister-in-law." Lu Muyen blinked with a straightforward mischievous smile. A red glow instantly surfaced on Mu Ning's cold and pale face, and she secretly glanced at the handsome man with an elegant, refined smile in her peripheral vision. Her heart beat faster. She and Ling Fei Yang knew each other when they were very young, and he had rescued her when she was 9 years old and accompanied her through the most difficult days. The two had feelings for each other, but unfortunately both had a betrothed, so they could only curb their feelings for each other and thought that they would never meet again. Now that her betrothed was snatched by Mu Tong and they annulled the engagement, and Ling Fei Yang's engagement was also annulled even after rescuing that woman named Xue Ling due to being bound by the engagement, almost ruining his entire life. Then when they met again, she didn't expect that she still had the same beating heart for him as before, so she didn't resist getting together with Ling Fei Yang. It was just that she had always been worried that she wasn't worthy of him now, so after suddenly hearing his younger cousin sister say that, she didn't know what to do. Ling Fei Yang had always known that this younger cousin sister of his was perceptive, but he didn't expect that she could even see the feelings between he and Mu Ning. He gently clasped Mu Ning's hand to reassure her. "She framed you everywhere, and her mother also killed your mother. It is most suitable for you to deal with her." After he finished speaking, he cast a grateful look at Lu Muyen. This younger cousin sister's actions were more and more heartwarming. "Thank you." When Mu Ning raised her eyes, her face had recovered to its usual coldness, but her expression when looking at Lu Muyen was a little softer. Lu Muyen knew that her personality was cold and should be related to the methods she cultivated, so she smiled and said, "You're welcome." Mu Ning nodded and walked towards Mu Tong. "Elder sister, do you really want to kill your own younger sister? If father knew your thoughts, he would be very disappointed." Mu Tong was relieved when she saw Lu Muyen handing over her life and death to Mu Ning. With a thought, a tinge of pain rose on her face. A mournful look flashed in Mu Ning's eyes, but her emotions calmed when she closed her eyes, then opened them. "So what if he knew? He's not worthy of being my father at all." After the death of her mother, she always thought that her father didn't know the truth, didn't know the evil deeds of Mu Tong's mother and Mu Tong, and tried hard to obtain his approval. But after many assassinations and disappointments, she gradually discovered that he didn't like her at all. On the first day of coming to the competition space, she inadvertently learnt that her mother's death was his connivance, and the final trace of family affection was completely wiped away. From then on, she knew that she would no longer have relatives, only enemies. Elder sister, we're blood-related sisters you can't kill. Mu Tong's pupils shrank and looked down at the long sword that passed through her chest in disbelief. This bitch actually really wanted to kill her. The words she wanted to say were only half said. Mu Ning's eyes were cold. I want let the tiger return to the mountain again. After speaking, she didn't give Mu Tong a chance to speak again. She hated this younger sister no less than she did her. She forcefully pulled out the long sword that penetrated her heart, took out a silk cloth and wiped the blood on it, then tossed the silk handkerchief away. Mu Tong's body gradually fell weakly, her eyes bulging, as if she had never truly known this elder sister who had been bullied so badly by her. But, unfortunately for her, it was all too late. Lu Muyen expressed appreciation for Mu Ning's decisiveness. If someone like Mu Tong wasn't killed, then it would definitely be troublesome in the future. Yener Mu Bai. Ling Feiyang was very happy to see his younger cousins in the competition space. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, elder cousin brother. How were you all trapped here? Lu Muyen asked with a smile. Ling Feiyang sighed and said, we were snatched of our demonic beasts when we were hunting in a remote mountain a few days ago by these people. There was a little conflict at the time but didn't involve life or death. Today we happened to be hunting a tier 6 demonic beast and met them. When Mu Tong saw Mu Ning with us, killing intent rose in her. Mu Ning's expression was also apologetic with lingering fears. If Ling Feiyang's younger cousin sister didn't arrive, then she would have harmed them all. She was grateful to Lu Muyen from the bottom of her heart and remembered this kindness in her heart. Lu Muyen didn't know that Mu Ning would bring a huge fortuitous opportunity in the future because of today's actions. At this time, she only felt that it was very pleasing to look at this elder cousin sister-in-law. Mu Yen, it looks like we owe you another personal favor. Yi Qinghan's internal injury had healed a lot after taking Lu Muyen's pills, and he walked to her side, looking at her with soft eyes. Lu Muyen chuckled lightly, must Qinghan and I seem as if we're outsiders? Yi Qinghan was her first sincere friend on this different world and occupied an important position in her heart. They would be best friends forever. Of course I won't treat you like an outsider. Yi Qinghan's face was filled with smiles and ripples rose in his heart. Luo Li and Si Nan glanced at each other, and they both understood each other's thoughts. This man named Yi Qinghan seemed to hold a lot of weight in Lu Muyen's heart, but it was also precisely because of this they both disliked him. Muyen, let's find a place to rest. Night is arriving soon. Luo Li stepped forward to block Yi Qinghan's sight and his handsome face was filled with a sunny smile. Yi Qinghan furrowed his brows slightly. He found that this young man with a full head of red hair, and a handsome and flamboyant appearance had a sense of hostility towards him. Lu Muyen nodded and said to Yi Qinghan and the others, Qinghan, elder cousin brother, let's all travel together. Sure. The two answered in unison. They had been inquiring about news of Lu Muyen recently to begin with, so now that they had finally met, they naturally wanted to compete together and take care of each other. Luo Li's face seemed to darken, but in front of Lu Muyen, he wouldn't show any hostility towards Yi Qinghan at all. He gave Si Nan a look as if saying, shameless bastard, you go deal with them. Si Nan rolled his eyes at him. This kid could also be wicked and order people around now. As if he would be a fool to target that handsome man and anger Lu Muyen. If you dare, go do it yourself. He tossed Luo Li a provocative look to convey what he wanted to express. Then he leaned in front of Lu Muyen and said with a smile, I know a cave down there. Let's go there to rest and wait to depart in the evening. Mu Yi and Shifeng's injuries also recovered a lot. Together, they and Ling Feiyang lifted their comatose companions who were lying on the ground and walked down the mountain with Lu Muyen. Shameless bastard, how about we join forces to get that unsightly man away? Luo Li telepathically said. Si Nan was also very bitter about Lu Muyen's intimate attitude towards Yi Qinghan. That woman had never given him any good looks. All right. Let's work together. They just wanted to chase Yi Qinghan away and didn't want to hurt him, otherwise Lu Muyen would definitely skin them. Yi Qinghan's deep eyes narrowed slightly. These two men were love rivals. Random note. Welp, Ming Xiuah, Elmwise collecting way too many men now. Also hurry up and be in an open relationship already. Sob. Chapter 239. Using his body to nourish poison, the group came to the cave that Si Nan spoke of, and the environment was indeed quiet. Lu Muyen walked over to the two people who were still in a coma and took their pulses. Then she pierced them with a few golden needles, and only then did the pained expressions on the two gradually ease, and their complexions became rosy. Lu Muyen, you know how to heal people too? Luo Li looked at Lu Muyen in surprise. He had only heard that she could refine pills, but he had never seen it before. Now that he saw her being able to use a few needles to restore the spirit of the two sluggish sword masters, he couldn't resist having a thought. Lu Muyen took back the golden needles. Yeah. Then can you cure eye diseases? Luo Li asked impatiently. There was always a voice in his heart that told him to believe Lu Muyen. Hearing Luo Li's words, Luo Ye's body froze. Only Lu Muyen noticed this movement. It depends on what kind of eye disease it is. The one you're asking about isn't easy to cure. Lu Muyen replied without concealing after pondering for a bit. Luo Li's eyes revealed shock. You know what I'm asking about? Luo Ye's relaxed body froze again. Could it be that Lu Muyen discovered his secret? He suffers from an acquired eye disease due to a skill. It can be cured, but now isn't the time. Lu Muyen was always observing Luo Ye's blindness. Although she didn't take his pulse, but she already knew the answer inwardly. Luo Li grabbed Lu Muyen's arm and asked nervously, "Why isn't it time?" "Because to treat this kind of eye disease, you need to concoct a type of eye drop for treatment, and I don't have the spiritual herbs to concoct it." Lu Muyen shrugged. "What kind of spiritual herbs do you need?" Luo Li asked, pressing his lips together. Lu Muyen raised her eyes and looked at Luo Yi. She found that his emotions weren't as calm as he appeared. She thought for a while, then said, "He'll give you a list later." "Sure." Luo Li seemed to be relieved, then asked cautiously, "How did you know? Do you believe me if I say I'm a divine doctor?" Lu Muyen chuckled and raised an eyebrow. Seeing her smile like a flower, Luo Li's heart thumped. Believe. Although Lu Muyen was a cunning and black-bellied woman, but she wouldn't joke around with such serious things. It seemed that she indeed saw through eldest brother's illness herself. He couldn't resist looking forward to it inwardly. If Lu Muyen really was a divine doctor, then did that mean eldest brother's blindness could be cured? What sign language are you using who has an eye disease? Sinan had never seen Luo Li lose his composure like this, and after hearing these two talk, he was mostly confused, so he leaned over to ask. Luo Li pushed him away in disgust. "Shameless bastard, what does it matter to you?" However, he also stopped discussing with Lu Muyen. Since she knew about elder brother's situation, then he would ask her when there was no one else. "Tisk, I'm just asking, forget it." He rolled his eyes at Luo Li, then walked to Lu Muyen's side and sat down. He looked at her with his androgynous face and asked with a smile, "Little beauty, since you're a divine doctor, how about taking a look at me?" Lu Muyen looked at him without understanding, then smiled lightly and reached out to check his pulse. Originally she was just checking casually, but then her face grew more solemn. "How is it?" Sinan actually knew about his own situation, but he didn't really expect Lu Muyen to know. Lu Muyen retrieved her hand and wiped it with a handkerchief, causing Sinan's lips to twitch. "You took a bath every day, all right. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, congratulations to you for having a body filled with blood that's invulnerable to hundreds of poisons." Lu Muyen said congratulations on the surface, but her voice didn't really sound congratulatory. Sinan's eyes widened. "You can even figure this out?" Shameless bastard, Lu Muyen already said she was a divine doctor. Luo Li believed every word that Lu Muyen said from the bottom of his heart. "I didn't expect the little beauty to really be a divine doctor." Sinan laughed dryly and asked, "Can my blood cure poisons?" "It depends on what kind of poison." Lu Muyen replied. "What if it's the water illusion nether dream?" Sinan's eyes revealed a hint of caution, then asked after a while. The expression on Lu Muyen's face changed. "In order to cure the water illusion nether dream, you raised yourself into a poisonous person? Can it really cure it?" Sinan's expression was a little grave and excited. "It's hard to say." Lu Muyen paused, then continued, "It depends on how many years the person has been poisoned as well as their physique. If the poison time is too long, the poisonous blood in your body might be a little uncertain." 10 years. Sinan's eyes flashed with pain. After Lu Muyen interacted with Sinan these days, this was the first time that she found that this man with a poisonous tongue and a frivolous personality could show this kind of emotion. If the body was originally a strong man, then 10 years should be fine, but if it were a woman who was poisoned 10 years ago, then even if your blood is completely mature after a period of time, it will still be difficult to cure. At least it will be life-threatening. Lu Muyen just felt that the person Sinan was talking about should be a woman who was very important to him, so she didn't conceal it. Sinan clenched his hands tightly, and the blue veins on the back of his hands popped. "Then is there a way to reduce the danger?" "The specific situation can't be told until I see the patient," Lu Muyen said with a serious expression. Those that are poisoned with the water illusion nether dream usually fall into a deep sleep. If they're poisoned for more than 10 years, then the vitality in their body will also be lost in the 10 years. Using the poisonous blood in you that has become perfected can cure it, but it could also infect them with other poisons. Hearing Lu Muyan's sincere words, the last doubt in Si Nan's heart also dissipated, as if grabbing onto a life-saving straw. If you see the patient, can you cure it? If they haven't died, then I have 9/10 of certainty to cure it. Lu Muyan still had this confidence. Si Nan's eyes lit up, scorching. How about you go to Rian Kingdom after the competition? As long as you can save her, no matter what conditions you want, I will promise it all. Can I ask who she is to you? Lu Muyan just thought that Si Nan should have been a cold and distant person, but seeing that he was even willing to use his body to nourish poison to cure another, she couldn't help but be slightly moved. She's my imperial concubine mother. Si Nan's voice was a little hoarse and he lacked his usual slovenly and frivolous attitude. Lu Muyan was startled. Seeing that Si Nan's expressions and emotions didn't seem to be fake, it was as if she had a newfound understanding of him and she was impressed. This man's slovenly attitude was probably also just a cover to conceal his true nature. All right. If you're still alive after the competition, he'll go with you. Lu Muyan nodded. Although Rian Kingdom was in the northern region, but it wasn't too far from Yanzhou Kingdom. Si Nan was a member of the imperial family. If she helped him, she may get involved in a lot of trouble, but helping him was definitely also beneficial to the Lu clan. And the rarest thing to come by was the pure and innocent heart of a newborn one. No matter how capricious Si Nan was, but using his own body to nourish poison, disregarding his life just to cure his mother, this filial piety deserved her respect. Although she, Lu Muyan, wasn't some good person, but back in the mortal world when she learnt medical skills from the divine doctor, she also learnt the benevolence of doctors. Si Nan raised an eyebrow. What do you mean by as long as I'm still alive, you'll accompany me? Was this woman cursing him to death? Shouldn't the person who should be most worried about whether they could live or die be herself? An idiom meaning that Si Nan has a sincere heart with wholehearted devotion, like newborn babies who have not yet been tainted. Something like that. Chapter 240, Preliminary Round Countdown. What do you mean by as long as I'm still alive, you'll accompany me? Lu Muyan glanced at Si Nan. It literally means what it means. Cough cough. Si Nan coughed dryly, then winked. Am I that weak? Who knows? Lu Muyan said lightly. Si Nan looked up at the sky speechlessly. He was obviously very strong, all right? He just didn't show it. If he battled with Luo Yi, it wouldn't be certain who'd win or lose. Qing Han, you all quickly recover. We're going to kill beasts and beast tides to earn points tonight. Lu Muyan took out another bottle of elemental recovery pills and tossed it to him. All right. Yi Qing Han took the pills, then distributed the pills in the porcelain bottle to the others calmly. A strong aroma filled the air. Muyan, you can already refine grade 3 pills? I'm about right. Lu Muyan leaned against the wall lazily. Your talent really is heaven-defying. Yi Qing Han smiled bitterly. He was thrown farther and farther away from her. Lu Muyan turned her head and smiled. There are many grade 3 alchemists, it's nothing strange. Her goal wasn't just a grade 3 alchemist. Her goal was to become a grade 10 alchemist that was at the peak of this world. The others had varying expressions when they heard the conversation between the two. They couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips. There were indeed more grade 3 alchemists than other high-grade alchemists, but no one had heard of a grade 3 alchemist who was less than 18 years old. Her indifferent tone truly made people speechless. Si Nan and Helian Lai were the most shocked. This elemental recovery pill was refined by Lu Muyan herself? Didn't she tell Elder Shao that her master refined it? So it seems she had lied. Lu Muyan, you refined the elemental recovery pills yourself? Luo Li couldn't resist asking. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow and smiled. Take a guess? She felt that a grade 3 alchemist really wasn't something to show off about. This little cat was probably about to explode again. Luo Li glared at her. Boring? Then he turned his head away. Ha! Lu Muyan felt very pleased when she saw that he indeed exploded. Luo Li's face was a little hot. This woman really was hateful, but why did he like her more and more? Yi Qing Han saw Lu Muyan's face blossom with a beautiful smile, and his deep eyes darkened. Si Nan glared at Luo Li. He said he was shameless, but Luo Li was also a shameless person. When night fell, a crescent moon hung in the sky, bright and clear. Lu Muyan sat on a big rock outside the cave, and the moonlight poured down, making her entire person appear lonely and ethereal. Luo Yi jumped onto the boulder and sat beside her with a handsome figure. Are you here to ask about your eye disease? Lu Muyen turned her head and met Luo Yi's clean and bright eyes. She sighed inwardly that it truly would be a waste to keep these beautiful eyes blind. There was a faint smile on Luo Yi's lips, and under the bright and clear moonlight, he looked even more handsome. His voice that was as clear as spring water poured out slowly. When did you find out? The first time we met. Lu Muyen replied. Luo Yi was a little taken aback. Your medical skills are indeed brilliant. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I haven't even checked your pulse for you yet, so how do you know that I'm skilled in medicine? Lu Muyan's tone carried with it a slight tease. I indeed became blind due to my cultivation method. Countless physicians and alchemists have come to treat it, but no one has noticed that I have an eye disease. Luo Yi's voice was gentle and serene with a stirring charm. Can I take your pulse? Lu Muyen asked. Luo Yi raised a hand and placed it in front of Lu Muyen. Do as you please. Lu Muyen chuckled, then reached out to touch that pair of slender and fair wrists. After a while, she said, Did you receive an external inheritance one? Luo Yi was taken aback and asked in surprise, How did you know? There's a vague energy in your sea of consciousness inside you, but I found that it didn't belong to you. I feel that if it's not the mental energy of an external powerhouse, then it's a mass of soul energy that's about to dissipate. Lu Muyen explained. Luo Yi pondered for a bit, then said slowly, I accidentally broke into a tomb when I was 10 years old. By chance, I inherited a divine word skill method. Then a soul forcibly entered into my sea of consciousness. Due to the fact that I was still young at the time and my cultivation base wasn't high, I could only barely resist him seizing control of my body. That soul was a sword sovereign powerhouse before his death. He has always wanted to devour my soul and control my body, but unfortunately I possess a special constitution of the Luo clan, so not only did he fail, but his soul energy has been absorbed by me a lot over the years. Then I started cultivating the divine word skill, but my eyes gradually seemed to be covered with a layer of fog, and finally I became completely blind. Luo Yi sighed. After I refined his soul energy, it was only by using his memory that I knew this was the disadvantage of cultivating the divine word skill. Divine word skill? Is that what you call the ability to calculate and predict? There was no divine word skill in the immortal cultivation world. However, people who comprehended the great path could predict the future, so she was just saying her guesses. Luo Yi nodded, but because of the blindness caused by the inherited method, I've rarely cultivated it since. Therefore, his divine word skills prediction method only remained at initial phase. Those who had already seen the light hated such boundless darkness. So that's how it is. Lu Muyen muttered to herself. Can you really cure my blindness? Luo Yi didn't know why, but there was just a feeling in his heart that Lu Muyen could really restore light for him. I said I can, so naturally I can. But to cure your blindness, I still need to find several kinds of spiritual herbs and spiritual items to concoct a kind of eye-washing and eye-brightening drops. Lu Muyen knew that although Luo Yi could use his mental energy to perceive everything in the outside world and live like a normal person, but he yearned to see this colorful world again. This is the list of spiritual herbs that I need to refine it. If you know them, then it'll help you refine it. Then she handed over a prepared jade slip. Before refining the eye drops, you must completely refine that soul in your sea of consciousness. Luo Li took the jade slip and didn't immediately probe into it with his mental energy. Much gratitude. Regardless of whether she could really cure his blindness or not, he would still thank Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen smiled, stood up and patted the dust off her dress. Let's go, it's almost time. All right. The figure of the two talking on the boulder was seen by Yi Qinghan, who walked out of the cave. His eyes were as deep as the sea, but he didn't walk up to interrupt. Night was a time when demonic beasts frequently roamed about. Under the guidance of Mo Yen, Lu Muyen led Luo Li and the several other groups to besiege 3 waves of medium-sized beast tides. In pursuit of speed, when meeting the 2 Tier 7 demonic beasts, Lu Muyen didn't intervene, and they were both resolved by Luo Yi and Si Nan. After a few more days of night hunting, Lu Muyan's score lived up to expectations and she advanced to the ninth place, shocking numerous elite teams from large kingdoms. Yi Qinghan and the others' points were also soaring vigorously, and all 5 of their team members rushed into the top 100 of the standings. When there was precisely only 10 days left of the preliminary round, a soft bell sounded in all the refuge cities, as if it had come from the distant horizon. The preliminary round countdown had finally arrived. This inheritance is more to do with inheriting power, not something physical like money, etc. Chapter 241 came with evil intent. When the distant and gentle bell rang, Lu Muyen was drinking wine and chatting with the other people in the courtyard of an inn in a city. The preliminary round countdown has begun. Luo Li's eyes were filled with excitement. Lu Muyen shook the white jade wine glass in her hand, and the red liquid inside was crystal clear. From today onwards, the targets we need to guard against have increased to the elite teams of other kingdoms too. Shouldn't you say that we can finally snatch their jade tablets? Sinan's fair, handsome face flushed red after drinking, making him look even more gorgeous. Lu Muyen couldn't resist sighing that Sinan was truly quite attractive just by looking at his appearance. Helian Lai drank the spiritual wine in his cup. We should have kept Mu Tong and the others and kill them now so that we can get a few more purple jade tablets. Before the countdown bell of the competition space rang, the identity jade tablets of all dead sword masters would shatter and dissipate, so the jade tablets of Mu Tong and the others disappeared a few days ago already. You're the typical giving advice in hindsight. Sinan glanced at him. When are we going to the central city? Yi Qinghan asked, looking up at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen leaned on her chin with one hand and she shook the wine glass with the other. Well, rush over tonight and go directly to the central city tomorrow. At this time, this team of 5 groups revealed a faint trend of being led by Lu Muyen, and basically no one objected to her decision. Sinan, I heard that you've always been well informed? Lu Muyen asked lazily. Seeing her half-squinted eyes, lazily leaning her body on the stone table with an indescribable demeanor, Sinan's eyes rolled in thought, then smiled frivolously. Little beauty really understands me. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. I'll leave it to you to inquire about the purple, orange and cyan jade tablets. If you see whichever teams are ruthless and cruel, well, attack those teams. The second round of the competition was mainly to snatch identity jade tablets. They needed 10 purple jade tablets, 30 orange jade tablets, 50 cyan jade tablets, and at least 100 jade tablets of other colors in order to continue to advance. During the preliminary round countdown, the competition for jade tablets was allowed, so there definitely would be a lot of gang fights everywhere during these 10 days. No problem, leave that to me. Sinan tossed a charming look at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen shuddered, filled with goosebumps, and said coldly, frivolous. Sinan choked. Lu Muyen really wasn't a normal woman. If in the past he had shown such a devilishly charming smile to the talented female sword masters of those distinguished clans in the imperial capital, it would definitely cause a group of women to go crazy. But it was precisely because of her uniqueness that he was interested in her, wasn't it? Luo Li and Helian Lai couldn't resist casting a contemptuous look at Sinan. Serves you right. Yi Qinghan's beautiful thin lips rose in a slight arc. Lu Muyen didn't like men like Sinan. When it got dark, Lu Muyen and their party left the inn and rushed towards the central city. As soon as they left the city, more than a dozen elite teams immediately followed them. Lu Muyen and the others turned a blind eye. These days they've been followed by elite teams from other kingdoms each time they went out to hunt at night, and the number of teams only continued to increase. After learning that Lu Muyen could use arrays to deal with medium-sized beast tides, many people had the same thought. Plus the fact that as long as they paid 2/3 of the demonic beast's crystal cores they killed, they could kill demonic beasts in the fire array to earn points, so everyone followed them unanimously. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen didn't object either. Her own demonic beasts were very picky, and now only 8 tier 6 demonic beasts crystal cores, even more prodigal than her. So it seemed like she would always lack crystal cores. Besides, if her team continued to eat alone, it would inevitably lead to joint counterattacks by numerous elite teams from large kingdoms. If they left some soup for them to drink, then, putting aside alliances, at least they wouldn't join the army to go against them. Tonight was a little different from the past, however. Sword masters from different teams were on guard against each other, fearing that someone would suddenly jump out and contend for jade tablets. Fortunately, Lu Muyen had given them a heads-up in advance. Anyone who wanted to hunt with them at night to earn points must abide by the rules, and they were not allowed to kill each other, which put an end to the little ideas of many people. That night, under the guidance of Mo Yen, they wiped out 5 waves of beast tides again, and arrived at the central city at dawn the next day. The central city was grandeur and majestic, and one could feel a solemn and ancient atmosphere from even a distance. The city could accommodate at least 10,000 people, and the streets were bustling. There were a few more inns in the central city than in other refuge cities. They still went into the largest one where there were courtyards reserved for the superpower elite teams. No matter where, there would always be special treatment, and only the strong could become the party that enjoyed it. Lu Muyen, are we still going out to hunt tonight? Luo Li asked Lu Muyen right before they were about to return to their rooms. The others also turned their attention to her to see what she decided. We want go tonight. Let's properly restore our combat power and go group battling tomorrow. Lu Muyen left that sentence and entered her room. The others looked at each other. Was there really going to be a group battle tomorrow? How exciting, no. The 5 teams, having interacted with Lu Muyen for a long time, had all been infected by her temperament, and they all had a tendency to enjoy the thrill, so they were very enthusiastic about the competition of jade tablets that would soon arrive. Did you feel the resentful gaze that was hiding across the street from us? After entering the room, Mo Yen jumped from Lu Muyen's shoulders onto the bed and stretched lazily. Lu Muyen looked at the originally prudent and noble Missouri Yan's casual and lazy demeanor right now, and couldn't resist smiling. How could I not have felt such a deep resentment? Why don't we snatch their jade tablets tomorrow? Mo Yen found a soft position and laid there as he suggested. Lu Muyen looked at him without a good attitude. That'll be too easy on her. I told her I'll let her experience the taste of rising to the clouds then falling down. Before they checked into the inn just now, there was an obscure, malicious look cast onto them from an alley with killing intent. Even if Lu Muyen's mental energy hadn't recovered yet, but she didn't even need to look to know it was Schwellinger. Before, she humiliated Schwellinger and didn't kill her, not because she didn't dare to do it or couldn't do it, but it was purely to destroy her both physically and mentally in the future. Otherwise it would be too boring to toy her to death so easily. Mo Yen raised his head and there was brilliance flowing in his star-like eyes. Whoever offended this woman, whoever would be unlucky. Bing Ji trembled at the smile on Lu Muyen's lips. As long as owner smiled like that, then someone would definitely be out of luck. The human-eating blood-thorn vine king shrunk his main branch, secretly thankful that he had abandoned the dark and turned to the light early at the time, otherwise who knows how he would have been cleaned up by little owner. Only Meow Meow kept rubbing against Lu Muyen's wrist intimately, indicating that everything owner did was right. Lu Muyen naturally noticed the gazes of the several spirit pets. She let out a laugh and shook her head, but she was very happy inwardly. That night, they didn't act and Lu Muyen called everyone out of the city early the next morning. Everyone was basically satisfied with their own points rankings. It was fine as long as they could keep their good ranking. The more important thing at present was to compete for jade tablets. When they walked to a remote mountain in the distance to prepare to hunt and earn points while looking for sword masters from other kingdoms to snatch some jade tablets, they were suddenly blocked by a large group of allied people who appeared. These people basically had 4 words written on their faces: came with evil intent. Suddenly, silhouettes emerged from all directions in the mountains endlessly, and there were nearly 100 people in total. Lu Muyen swept the cultivation bases of the people who had come. Most of them were in middle phase Sword Monarch stage while the leaders were at peak phase Sword Monarch stage, and one of them was an old acquaintance, Jiu. Jiu, a disowned dog like you sure made a huge commotion this time. What are you trying to do this time? Sinan opened his folding fan gaudily with a smile and took a step forward, casually scanning the group of leaders. Jiu disliked Sinan the most, a vicious tongue and cruel heart that specifically attacked other people's sore spots. Sinan, if you don't want to cause trouble, then take your people and leave first. Jiu was still very afraid of this gaudy man. He found out that Sinan usually didn't like to bother with other people's business, so he wanted to kick these people away first. Then he would deal with Sinan after getting rid of Lu Muyen and the others. Sinan naturally knew Ji's intentions. Not to mention that he was very interested in Lu Muyen right now. Even if he wasn't interested just based on the fact that she could cure the poison, he wouldn't ignore this. Jiu, are you blind? Seeing Ji's expression darken, Sinan felt very pleased. Obviously it's you who brought people to seek trouble from us, but you want to make a false counter-charge? Jiu knew that Sinan's tongue was poisonous and powerful. He didn't argue with him and instead said to Lu Muyen's group with a grim look, "Hand over your jade tablets, otherwise there will only be a dead end." The several people beside him looked at Lu Muyen with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Another important reason for coming to snatch the jade tablets this time was because they also wanted to snatch the treasures this woman owned. They heard that she had a lot of grade 3 pills, and that golden Saint Tool was especially rumored to be exceptionally miraculous, not only able to divide into numerous flying swords and become a sword array, but it could even devour other magic tools. Although they weren't completely convinced, but they couldn't stop the greed and desire in their hearts. If that Saint Tool really was so miraculous, it would be a waste for Lu Muyen, a sword master from a small kingdom, to own it. Jiyu, your head must have been caught between a door. Luo Li folded his arms with a bit of contempt in his eyes. Although you have more than twice as many of us, but do you think that these rabble can make us surrender our identity jade tablets? Ji's eyes revealed some killing intent. This Luo Li was too annoying. Since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit one, then don't blame us if you die. Since he dared to incite the other teams of large and medium-sized kingdoms to intercept and kill Luo Li and the others, then he naturally came prepared. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows when she saw Jiyu and the other leaders looking as if they were bound to win. These people must have made some preparations. As she thought, the leaders like Jiyu suddenly took a few steps back and an array banner appeared in the hands of a black-clothed woman with a veil beside him. Sacrifice. The woman's voice was hoarse and dull, sounding as if she had already passed her twilight years. The array banner in her hand then turned into a black arc and flew into the sky. The black banner gradually unfolded, and a sinister wind came from within it. Then she stamped a few Taoist seals onto the long black, narrow array banner. Instantly, the long narrow array banner flashed with black light and a sinister wind surrounded the entire forest together with mournful, shrill weeping. The smell of blood began to spread in all directions and layers of scarlet mist also burst from within the array banner, mixed with the bloody scent, causing many people to turn pale. What sort of iniquitous skill is this? Helian Lai asked with caution. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a bit of solemnity. The place we stand on has already been arranged with an array by them. What array? That array banner looks so evil. Sinan took a step back, feeling that the sinister aura and bloody scent from that array banner was too strong, making him feel uncomfortable. Not only did he feel this way. Everyone present except GS people felt a sense of disgust, and the irritability in their hearts was drawn out a little bit. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Piuchi. Piuchi. There was an inexplicable sound that kept resounding. Suddenly, one by one, gray-white bones emerged from underground, revealing their bodies little by little, then eventually turned into skeletons, jadedly walking towards Lu Muyen and the others with a sinister aura. It's really a bone array, Lu Muyen said coldly. Bone array? Do you know this array? Helian Lai felt that the aura of the corpse skeletons that were constantly emerging from the ground weren't weak at all. Bone array, also known as the Fire Devil array, is a kind of evil, sinister and vicious array among the array skills. Lu Muyen paused, then continued. The array master who arranged the array must first throw most of the people into a medicinal liquid to soak, then heat the liquid, boil them alive, then attach souls with a sinister aura and resentment onto the bones of the deceased, finally collecting it into an array banner to form an array, using corpse aura to raise it. The souls of those who were killed, and the resentful souls the array master collected would then turn into nourishment for the array banner. When the bone array activates, then the raised bones would emerge to form an attack source for the array. Those who know Buddhist methods, recite the scriptures that help release souls from suffering. The rest, protect the spiritual platform too in your sea of consciousness. The bloody fog in the array has the effect of creating illusions. After Lu Muyen finished speaking, she turned to Ling Fei Yang and said, Elder cousin brother, do you know the scriptures for dispelling dark beings? Yes. Ling Fei Yang nodded. Younger cousin sister, don't worry, it'll help protect everyone's spiritual platform. Sinan, Helian Lai, Luo Li, Luo Yi, the four of you go to the four directions of Zhen, Qin Zhen Dy3 to guard. Don't allow a single skeleton in here. Lu Muyen turned her head again and said to the others, you all close up your spiritual sense and mental energy and divide into 4 groups to help kill the skeletons. Remember to cut off their legs and feet. She didn't expect Jiyu to invite someone with such high attainments in arrays to arrange a devil array, but luckily the other party's cultivation base was only at initial phase Sword Monarch, and the array banner had yet to be upgraded, otherwise it would be troublesome to break the array today. She stretched out her hands and kept changing her hand gestures. One after another, jade-colored runes leapt out of her palm to form a rune belt that wound around her. Lu Muyen, what are you doing? Luo Li pressed his lips together and asked, revealing worry in his eyes. This kind of array gave them a very strange feeling, and it was probably not easy to deal with. Lu Muyen patted his shoulder and said with a light smile, It'll break the array, don't worry little wild cat. Luo Li nodded and didn't care about her calling him little wild cat. In fact, he liked this nickname deep down. You have to be careful. Seeing her confidence and brilliance, Luo Li lowered his head and smiled. Then he turned and walked towards the Zhen position, wielding his sword, and began to kill the skeletons that kept emerging. Ling Fei Yang sat cross-legged, removed the string of beads that Lu Muyen gifted from his wrist and kept turning it as paragraphs of complicated and obscure scriptures came out of his mouth. Circles of extremely pale golden light spread from his body and the bloody red mist retreated as if it had encountered its nemesis. The mournful weeping in the forest grew louder and louder, forming a depressing and eerie atmosphere. Even the elders of the 6 major sects sitting in the central castle had serious expressions on their faces. One meaning to choose to take the harder route instead of the easy route, basically. Can be said in this situation as a means of threat, or, for example, said to someone that was beaten up after choosing the harder route. Like, I gave you a chance but you chose this route instead. Okay. My last explanation said this spiritual platform might literally be a platform blocking one's cultivation base from advancing. But clearly that isn't it. And I just did a little more research into what was and found that it's just another dated term for the word soul, spirit, etc. So, yeah, it'll correct my explanation in a previous chapter. Eventually XD forgive me as it's my first time translating anything to such an extent so I might be unfamiliar with certain terms XD. 3. They are 4 different locations of the 8 trigrams, each representing something different. You can search up 8 trigrams and see an easy visual representation. Decided to start putting pictures so it's down below. XD but I have seen variations of the 8 trigrams aka Bagua, and this is the one I found that was easiest to understand for people. Usually it's black and white though. I don't know how accurate the meanings behind it are though. Chapter 243. Break the array. The desolate cries sounded from far to near and illusions began to appear in the minds of many sword masters with unstable hearts. Ling Fei Yang's expression was slightly dark. His hand tightly slid across the Buddhist beads and he kept reciting difficult scriptures. Circles of pale golden incantations were derived from the scriptures and gradually surrounded the people in the array. Only then did the sound of weeping slowly die out. The few people with weak willpower in the array had scarlet eyes and slashed with their swords randomly. Only when the voice that lingered in their ears disappeared did the illusion of a sea of corpses and bloody mountains in front of them gradually disappear together. The scarlet in their eyes faded and their minds regained clarity with lingering fear. Everyone who was affected by the evil sound, quickly come sit next to me, Ling Fei Yang said softly. Some of them who felt that their heads were aching until it felt like it was splitting and were unable to resist the devilish sounds that invaded their sea of consciousness quickly sat beside him. Only when they listened to the reassuring, calming scriptures from him did they feel the inexplicable madness and irritability with the desire to kill slowly disappear. Lu Muyan's lips rose into an arc. Her elder cousin brother sure was very talented in cultivating Buddhism. This way she can break the array with a peace of mind. In the central castle. What kind of array is that? It looks so evil. The elder of the sword sect furrowed his brows. The sword skills they cultivated focused on righteousness. Such evil arrays were very dislikable to them. The strong and sturdy 8 extreme sect elder didn't have the happy look on his face when seeing a good seedling either and replied, "Bone array. It's exactly as what the little Lu girl said." Which kingdom is the woman who arranged this array from? The wise, white-robed elder of Heavenly Secret Palace asked the person behind him. Replying to elder, according to our information, the masked, black-clothed woman is a sword master from Heiwu Kingdom and she is also the descendant of Heiwu Kingdom's national teacher. The man replied respectfully. The elegant man of the medicine sect tapped the table in front lightly with his fingers, his eyes unclear. Black magic is prevalent in Heiwu Kingdom, and they're famous for their goo poison. This woman, as the descendant of the national teacher, it is understandable that she uses this sort of evil array. However, their medicine sect would not want such pupils, and they did not like the art of the evil goo poison. The eyes of the elder of the vast mountain sect, on the other hand, revealed a hint of interest. In addition to body refining skills, their sect also had a small branch of sword masters who cultivated skills in ghost cultivation and devil cultivation. Crazy old man, that woman is not inferior to little Lu girl in her attainments in arrays. How about you sweet-talk her back and use her to hand in your task of finding pupils? The elder of the Spirit Tamer sect looked at the strong and sturdy man of the 8 Extreme sect and said with a smile. The elder of the 8 Extreme sect snorted coldly, although our sect is a large sect that studies arrays, but we never slaughter innocent people to refine into array banners. We sure are not worthy of such a pupil. Even if the talent of this woman was much higher than Lu Muyan's, he wouldn't want her either. With one look, he could tell she harbored ill intentions. Refining so many resentful souls, her mind is indeed vicious. The elder of the sword sect said. I wonder if little Lu girl can handle it. It would be a pity if she falls in this array. The elder of the medicine sect sighed. Even they found that this array was extremely evil. It would probably be difficult to break this array. The elder of the 8 extreme sect revealed a rare look of worry. Keep watching. I'm still optimistic about the little Lu girl. Behind them, the stunning, white-clothed man's slim phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. If one looked closely, one could see there was a layer of worry and viciousness in his eyes. He believed in the ability of his family's little woman. If anyone dared to threaten her life, then he would destroy their entire clan. In the array, the jade-colored runes grew longer and longer, wounding around Lu Muyen in circles. She reached out her hand and pinched her fingers to calculate, then took out a few pure white jade stones from within her interspatial ring that she had nourished and tapped them with 2 fingers. Go! Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the pure white jade stones were tossed to 7 directions around her, and the jade runes also turned into 7 streams of light and drilled into the jade stone. The masked woman in black, who had been standing in the back watching the battle, furrowed her brows subconsciously and her voice was still very hoarse. That young woman knows arrays? Not only does she know, but her attainments in arrays are also very strong, and is not outdone by Miss Nuoya. Jiyu replied with a light smile. He knew that the more he praised Lu Muyen, the more uncomfortable Nuoya would feel. Sure enough, Nuoya's brows furrowed together deeper. How could she be worthy? In our eyes, Miss Nuoya is naturally 100 times stronger than her. Jiyu agreed. But inwardly he didn't quite think so. Nuoya's devil skill array was powerful, but it would still be very difficult to trap Sinan and Luo Yi. The strength of those 2 people was unfathomable and even he was unwilling to confront them head-on. Skeletons climbed up from the ground one after another, their mouths making crack sounds, and they were endless, making one's scalp feel numb. Luo Yi and the other 3 withstood against the army of skeletons in the 4 directions, but faced with the fact that even after slicing them apart, new skeletons would emerge from the ground, they gradually felt a little powerless. Until when would they have to continue to kill like this? They could only hope that Lu Muyen could break this array as soon as possible. Lu Muyen looked up and saw the black array banner in the sky constantly flashing with a dim light. Waves of bloody resentment auras exuded from inside to nourish and maintain the attack of the skeletal army. She pondered, but the speed of the seals her hand formed didn't slow down. When the last Taoist seal was formed, she recited the great light mantra that released the undead souls from suffering. The difficult incantation poured out of her mouth and the jade stones buried in the 7 directions flashed different rays of light and spread out little by little. A jade-colored rune belt also lingered on the periphery of the light rays. The 7 colors gradually converged to form a circle of colorful rays of light. Cooperating with Lu Muyen's mantra, it expanded from the center of the array little by little, and wherever it went, the bloody red mist in the array would be annihilated within the 7-colored light circle. The movements of her hands didn't stop either, and she kept the posture of gesturing and forming seals. Void spirit runes rose into the sky, scattering in all directions and disappeared after sticking onto surrounding trees. Break, break, break. Then she said break 3 times, and the 7-colored glow suddenly grew larger and expanded much faster. When the 7-colored light circle expanded and approached the army of skeletons emerging from the ground, a series of shrill screams sounded ceaselessly, all from the skeletons. With the extension of the 7-colored light circle, the army of skeletons that were shrouded in it stopped moving instantly and circles of 7-colored light wrapped around them. Wangamungawe Lucia Namahamu De Lawan. The speed in which Lu Muyen chanted the Great Light Sutra increased several times and the 7-colored light circle brightened a bit more. Then she put her palms together, took a deep breath, and took out a round golden stone the size of a thumb while spraying a breath of essence onto it. Break! Another shout. Piuchi! Suddenly, countless 7-colored beams of light shot out from the surrounding trees, engulfing the army of skeletons. The mournful and desolate sounds gradually disappeared, and wisps of smoke emerged from the top of the skeletons' heads, running in the direction of the 7-colored rays of Sanskrit. Soul-releasing magic-breaking array. The strong and sturdy elderly man in the central castle slapped his thigh and let out a laugh. Good. This girl really could break the array. This method of breaking the array is absolutely amazing. This actually a real sutra people apparently say to ward off evil and ghosts and are sending the ghosts on their way peacefully to the netherworld etc. if people feel that some place isn't quiet or peaceful. There's no translation of this, not that I've seen. Lu Muyan's circle of seven-colored light annihilated all the army of skeletons that were summoned from the array little by little. Condense. The masked, black-clothed woman who was standing outside the array glared and shot a force of elemental energy into the array banner in the air. Lu Muyan didn't reveal any weakness either when she saw this. A black light burst out from her cuff and stopped in front of the other party's array banner. A black array flag appeared and slowly unfolded. Both were black, except the veiled, black-clothed woman's array banner reeked of blood and a sinister aura, while Lu Muyan's black array flag exuded a gentle and calming aura. An encounter between good and evil naturally required a fight. Kill? The veiled, black-clothed woman's calm and cold eyes revealed a look of fear for the first time. She continued condensing Taoist seals, shooting them into the array banner, and traces of black elemental energy flowed from within her to maintain the array banner and cast spells. So it turned out to be the dark attribute elemental energy. Lu Muyan murmured, narrowed her eyes, then quickly condensed Taoist seals. Jade-colored runes with strong elemental energy overflowed from her body and disappeared into the array flag. In addition to the elemental laws of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, there were also wind, ice, thunder, and dark, a total of 9 types. Among them, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were the most common. The thunder attribute and dark attribute were not only rare, but also mysterious. People with such attributes had basically become a powerhouse of an area, and they were also objects that major forces vie for and try to win over. The elders of the 6 major sects in the central castle were surprised when they saw the masked, black-clothed woman use the dark elemental energy attribute, each with their own thoughts. The eyes of the elder of the vast mountain sect were even brighter. Lu Muyan's body was indeed strong, but she was more talented in other aspects. When the time came, it would probably be difficult for their vast mountain sect to win her over, but this black-clothed woman was different. The other 5 sects didn't like devil cultivation and devil skills, but the vast mountain sect had a branch that specialized in raising these capable people. If the black-clothed woman hadn't encountered Lu Muyan, a person with a strong talent for arrays and battled with skills, then she would probably be able to wipe out all the sword masters in the array. Such a sword master, even if they were a devil cultivator, their vast mountain sect wanted them. If they weren't morally right, then after arriving at the sect they could still change their views. If they raised her well, then her future achievements might not be inferior to Lu Muyan's. Of course, they wouldn't let go of Lu Muyan either, and would still offer conditions to lure her into the sect as well. Lu Muyan's array flag was wrapped with a belt of jade-colored runes, and its light overshadowed the array banner shining in black light. This world had the dark elemental energy attribute, but not the light elemental energy attribute. However, this didn't mean there wasn't a way to deal with it. The profound practice of Buddhism was the nemesis of dark attribute skills. Lu Muyan was very irritable when she was stuck at the body fusion stage bottleneck back in the immortal cultivation world. An ascending cultivator from the same city suggested her to cultivate Buddhism to soothe her heart, so she went to one of the most powerful forces in the spiritual world, the Buddhist Ocean Precipice, for advice. Unexpectedly, the head educator of the Buddhist Ocean Precipice was a cultivator she once rescued. When seeing that she was the one asking for advice aside from the core Buddhist methods that Buddhist Ocean Precipice couldn't leak, she was taught everything else. She wasn't a Buddhist cultivator, but she had a good understanding of Buddhist practice methods, which was more than enough to deal with the dark skills used by this masked, black-clothed woman. Of course, if she encountered a dark attribute sword master with a high level of cultivation, then even if she used Buddhist skills at this time, she would still not be able to suppress this evil dark skill. The black-clothed woman snorted coldly and channeled her whole Buddhist elemental energy into the array banner. The black array banner was wrapped by a powerful sinister aura, and there was a faint trend of suppressing the array flag. Then the array banner spread out and quickly wrapped around the array flag. The array flag was entangled by the black cloth of the array banner, and the jade-colored runes on the flag gradually dimmed. Only upon seeing this did the black-clothed woman reveal a faint smile in her eyes. As expected, Miss Nuoya is powerful. A sword master from a large kingdom who stood behind her complimented. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The black-clothed woman curbed the expression in her eyes, and she no longer underestimated the purple-clothed stunning woman opposite. She had a feeling that the woman opposite named Lu Muyan could never become her friend in this life, and would be her lifelong formidable adversary. An arrogant soldier is doomed to lose. She might not necessarily lose. The black-clothed woman pondered for a bit, then said those words in a hoarse voice. She was not a person who wouldn't admit to loss. The reason why she disliked Lu Muyen before was because she didn't know she actually had such high talent and means in arrays. Now that they were evenly matched, she had a very strange feeling, but she was certain that it wasn't the killing intent of jealousy. The complimenting man smiled shyly, obviously not expecting Nuaya to say such a thing. Ji Yu used his peripheral vision to glance at Nuaya's face, which was covered by a veil and couldn't be seen clearly. This woman wasn't someone like Mu Tong who was capable of slight scheming but was easy to be arrogant. If she were an enemy, she would be very difficult to deal with. He couldn't resist but secretly rejoiced that he had invited her here. Even if she couldn't defeat Lu Muyen here today, the grudge between the two women was probably definitely going to be formed. Lu Muyen closed her eyes and didn't continue to condense and form Taoist seals to transfer elemental energy like the black-clothed woman, but instead slowly opened her mouth and recited an obscure scripture. Each time she recited a sentence, the already dim rune belt would light up a little, and after a while the array flag made a crisp sound. Wang. The jade runes broke away from the array flag and quickly wrapped around the opponent's array banner. The jade-colored runes followed Lu Muyan's scriptures, disappearing into the array banner. In an instant, the array flag and array banner vibrated, as if fighting each other. After about an incense stick of time, the sinister aura that the array banner emanated was actually dissolved by the jade runes by more than half. The black light faded. Piyu. The masked, black-clothed woman couldn't resist spitting out a mouthful of blood. Ji Yu and the others revealed a little disbelief in their eyes. Lu Muyen actually broke Nuaya's array. How was that possible? Nuaya was a genius soul-like figure in the younger generation of Heiwu Kingdom and was also the direct descendant of the national teacher, yet she was defeated just like this by Lu Muyen? Not to mention Ji Yu and the others, even Luo Yi, Sinan and Helian Lai on Lu Muyan's side revealed looks of surprise. If it were them today, they wouldn't even be able to break the opponent's array at all, and although they would be able to escape, but it would be at the cost of being gravely injured. It wasn't because of how strong Nuaya's cultivation base was, but it was that the array and dark elemental energy she controlled was too sinister and too tricky. They simply couldn't guard against it. The several people had heard a little about the cultivation methods of Heiwu Kingdom. Who knew that the #1 genius young woman of Heiwu Kingdom would actually be defeated by Lu Muyen today? How terrifying. Nuaya was an extremely decisive person. She took a deep look at Lu Muyen, remembered her voice, appearance and smiling look, took out a wind-riding talisman from her interspatial ring and crushed it, and disappeared in this space. Am not her opponent for the time being. You can all fight on your own. Before she left, she telepathically sent a message to Ji Yu and the others. Then a hoarse female voice sounded above Lu Muyen and the others' heads. Lu Muyen, correct? You are qualified to be my opponent. I look forward to a fight again in the future. When the voice disappeared, there was no more of that woman's aura. Lu Muyan's eyes were as deep as the sea. She looked up in the direction where the black-clothed woman disappeared in, and it took a while before she retrieved her gaze. As soon as the black-clothed woman left, the array banner in the air was also taken away by her. The array that was broken by Lu Muyen collapsed and disappeared in an instant. At the same time, the figures of Ji Yu and the others were also exposed in the woods. Chapter 245. Ji's trump card was about to be revealed. When the array was destroyed and the mysterious black-clothed woman left, Lu Muyen looked at Ji Yu and his party with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Ji Yu, did you bring these people to gift us identity jade tablets? Ji's face darkened. You think a bit too highly of yourself. Whether high or not, you'll know after fighting. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. Today this scourge must be eliminated. Ji Yu also had the same idea, wanting to kill Lu Muyen here. He turned his head and said to the leaders of the several other elite teams from large kingdoms, they have a lot of purple jade tablets in their hands, let's kill. The several people around him originally had some thoughts of leaving when they saw that Nuaya's array was broken, but now they couldn't resist feeling active after hearing Ji's words. Although they were afraid of Sinan and Luo Yi, but with so many people uniting they weren't afraid anymore. Alright, kill. After Ji Yu and his party reached an agreement, they drew their swords and surrounded Lu Muyen and the others. Lu Muyen's lips raised into an arc and said to the people beside her, snatch all their jade tablets. Alright. Her people had long been rubbing their hands and fists in anticipation, and they all rushed forward. So what if they had a large number of people? They could win even when being besieged by so many demonic beasts in a beast tide. This had more challenge, didn't it? Soon the people on both sides fought against each other, with the people on Lu Muyan's side basically battling 1 against 2 or 1 against 3. Suddenly Ji Ye's figure loomed in front of her, and a strong palm wind rushed towards her. Lu Muyan's eyes turned cold and she quickly dashed away, dodging Ji Ye's sneak attack, using her flash steps. This is all that you're capable of. Humph, it's enough if it could kill you. Ji Yu snorted coldly, and a scarlet long sword appeared in his hand. The scimitars that he used the most effortlessly, and also his strongest weapon, had its connection broken with him last time and he didn't take it with him when he left, so he had to use a spare longsword as his weapon. Where have you put my scimitars? He still wanted to get that same tool back. Lu Muyan raised her lips and smiled, took out 2 dark golden scimitars and tossed them to Ji Yu with dislike. Here you go, don't say that this miss is greedy for your broken things. Ji Ye's face revealed surprise as he carefully took the scimitars, but after channeling elemental energy into it, his face darkened. There's no metal attribute aura in my Saint tool at all. Did you do this? He was just thinking about why Lu Muyan would return the scimitars to him so kindly, so it was because she took away all the metal attributes in the scimitar. Lu Muyan smiled lightly. What metal attribute aura? You must have mythomania. She naturally couldn't tell him that her natal magic tool, because of his scimitars, activated its talent for devouring. There was also an image reflection array here. Maybe the elders of the 6 major sects were currently watching their every move, so she didn't want to expose too much. Don't bully people too far. Ji Yu couldn't hide the ruthlessness and sinister look in his eyes. He rarely had such a strong killing intent towards someone. He channeled elemental energy from his entire body into his scarlet longsword in his hand, narrowed his eyes and swung the sword down at Lu Muyan. A huge light shadow condensed in midair, not far from Lu Muyan's head. The huge sword aura light shadow suddenly separated into 1,000 sword lights and shot out from all directions, trying to surround and kill Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan waved her hand and a huge golden-colored sword light erupted from beneath her feet, and when it fell in front of her, the giant sword turned into 10 golden flying swords. The flying swords formed a circle and protected Lu Muyan in it. Scatter. As soon as her voice fell, the 10 flying swords spun rapidly. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, streaks of golden sword light tore swiftly and fiercely through the air from the flying swords, and also turned into 1,000 sword lights to greet Ji Ye's sword aura. Boom boom. The 1,000 sword lights met, and momentous noise sounded, causing the earth to tremble. The dazzling light made the sword masters present unable to resist closing their eyes. When they opened their eyes again, they saw that both Lu Muyan and Ji Yu were affected and injured by each other's sword lights, each taking a step back. There was a streak of blood on Lu Muyan's lips, while Ji Ye's clothes were ragged, and many areas of his body were cut by sword auras. I truly underestimated you. This was the first time that Ji Yu had been in such a sorry state when fighting against someone. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow. Likewise. She really did underestimate Ji Yu before. Just now he was the one that slashed with all his strength, but it carried with it the strength of a sword sovereign. She fought with all her strength using her natal magic tool, yet still suffered internal injuries. Most importantly, Ji Yu hadn't used his trump cards yet. She had to admire within that Ji Yu was indeed worthy to be an elite pupil of a superpower kingdom. Whether it was his combat power or adaptability, they were both top grade. Today I must get rid of you. Ji Ye's eyes burst with a resolute intent, determined to win. Lu Muyan chuckled, smiling like a flower. What you said is precisely what I'm thinking. Bing Ji shuddered when he saw the look in her eyes. The more stunning little owner smiled, the more it meant that she would flip out. He flapped his wings and swiftly parted from Lu Muyan's shoulders to avoid being implicated. Mo Yin also knew Lu Muyan's disposition very well. He stretched out his claws and grabbed the little white snake hanging from her wrist and also distanced themselves slightly. Meow Meow struggled unhappily and said in a tender and sweet voice, Boss Missouri, why did you grab me? I want to accompany owner. Because Meow Meow devoured many Tier 6 demonic beasts' crystal cores, Meow Meow also successfully entered Tier 6 a few days ago. Even Mo Yin was shocked by such mutant talent. It's time for you to train. Mo Yin glanced at Meow Meow, then tossed her into the battle circle. Initial phase Sword Monarch Sword Masters are your targets. If you can't kill 10 of them, then don't even think about eating crystal cores today. Meow Meow's cultivation base was advancing too fast, and if she didn't depend on battling to consolidate her strength, then it would definitely leave drawbacks in the future. Owner, Boss Mo's bullying me. Meow Meow looked at Lu Muyan with teary eyes and dobbied. The corner of Lu Muyan's lips twitched. Although she felt heartache for Miao Miao, but she couldn't indulge her. Your cultivation base isn't stable, so you should indeed rely on fighting to make up for it. Mo Yan is doing this for your own good. Hearing that Lu Muyan didn't indulge Miao Miao like before, there was a trace of satisfaction in Mo Yan's deep eyes. Miao Miao glared at Mo Yan and said pitifully, "Then if I kill more than 10 Sword Monarch human sword masters, will there be any reward? Killing one, it'll reward you with 2 Tier 6 demonic beast crystal cores and 1 Tier 3 pill." While battling Jiyu, Lu Muyan also waved her hand dismissively and telepathically said. Miao Miao cheered when she heard such a reward, and with a flick of her snake's tail, her body suddenly changed from the thickness of a finger into a giant python more than 10 meters long, opened her large mouth and bit towards the target she had locked onto. Lu Muyan's generosity left Bing Ji completely speechless. Owner was just pampering on this little female serpent too much. Then seeing Miao Miao's behavior, he couldn't resist holding his forehead. Why were the little beauties around him all so violent? Was it simply impossible to properly appreciate beauties now? Jiyu and Lu Muyan blasted each other using sword auras, and Jiyu was gradually forced into the disadvantage. He was shocked to discover that this woman's elemental energy was much purer than his own. The richness of the elemental energy in her body was probably not much less than his own, so it seemed impossible for him to kill Lu Muyan in a war of attrition. He clenched the long sword tightly, took a deep breath, and his eyes revealed determination. He took out a sealed talisman from his interspatial ring. Lu Muyan cautiously glanced at the talisman that carried a mysterious ancient aura in his hand. GS trump card was about to be revealed. Chapter 246. The sealed giant Zhao Jiyu gritted his teeth and endured the reluctance in his heart. He tossed the talisman in his hand upwards, muttered a few phrases, then a red light flew out from his sleeve and disappeared into the talisman. In an instant, the talisman made a humming sound, struggled in the air, then a beam of yellow light lit up and the entire space shook. "What's this?" a man behind Jiyu asked. Jiyu didn't answer his companion as he stared deeply at the talisman that the yellow light was growing from in the sky. Lu Muyan felt an ancient and powerful aura coming from the talisman, even with a hint of pressure, as if something was about to break out of a cocoon. There was originally a dense layer of an intricate seal on the talisman, but now, after GS red light penetrated it, it gradually peeled off and the black runes became lighter and thinner, finally disappearing into the air as dust. Boom boom. Several thunderous sounds rung in the sky, and the originally bright sky was covered with dark clouds. A pressuring, fearful feeling instantly spread throughout the space. The expressions of Sinan and the others changed. What is this thing? The aura emanating from this talisman actually made them feel a sense of death, and their hearts couldn't resist sinking. Even the people on Ji's side had a bad premonition. Jiyu, what is this? Jiyu also had an indescribable palpitation in his heart. He furrowed his brows as he said, "This is a high-level talisman my maternal grandfather gave me. It said that killing sword masters beneath Sword Venerable is not a problem." The companions behind him endured the fear and revealed joy in their eyes. If GS talisman could kill Sinan and the others, then they wouldn't have to fight to death or be seriously injured. Although the number of people on the other side wasn't as much as theirs, but after only fighting for a while, more than half of the people on their side had already been injured or killed. Roar. A startling roar resounded throughout the sky, then a huge yellow gigantic thing broke the seal of the talisman and slipped out. Tier 9 Earth-type Jiao Dragon Soul, everyone be careful. Luo Yi immediately identified what was above his head and he hurriedly led everyone back a distance. That Jiao Dragon had been sealed for countless years, and this time having been freed from the talisman, it raised its head and happily roared a few times. The Jiao had 4 sharp claws beneath its body and 2 raised bumps on its head. It was possible that if he hadn't died back then and became a demonic spirit, then he would probably have already soared up and transformed into a dragon. Jiao Dragon? A snake-like being with no horns but can evolve into a dragon eventually. Couldn't find a Jiao image with the same description XD? You are the one that let me out. The yellowish-brown giant Jiao squinted at Jiyu below, scanning him with no evident emotions. Jiyu didn't expect that a Tier 9 Jiao Dragon demonic soul was actually sealed in the talisman. No wonder his paternal grandfather told him to use it carefully. It was indeed true that it could kill sword masters under Sword Venerable. It was indeed done by this junior. GS attitude was quite sincere. After all, although the other party was a soul that was freed from the talisman by him, but with its strength, It was only normal for him to address him as senior. The Jiao dragon shook its body, and a wicked look flashed across its eyes. Then it laughed loudly. Good. Very good. Ji's heart was overjoyed, but he didn't reveal it on his face. Just as he was thinking about how to use the giant Jiao dragon to kill Lu Muyen and the others, an icy aura suddenly approached. As soon as he raised his head, he saw the huge head of the giant Jiao press downwards heavily. Just as he wanted to speak, the huge Jiao opposite suddenly opened its huge mouth and sucked him right in. It was only a few breaths of time from when the Jiao dragon spoke to when Jiyu was sucked in, and no one could understand what was going on. Wasn't it Jiyu who released this Jiao dragon? Why was the first person to be eaten actually Jiyu? This was the truest portrayal of what everyone thought, including Lu Muyen. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Why, you actually dared to kill your owner. Half of Ji's body was swallowed by the giant Jiao, and his weak voice came from the Jiao's body. He couldn't understand and died without understanding. The Jiao dragon snorted coldly and swallowed Jiyu in one gulp. You carry that stinky old man's aura, so you must be his bloodline. When he killed me and sealed me that year, I swore in my heart to destroy him and his descendants. Today I will first use you as commemoration. You. Ji's voice was so soft that it was no longer audible. He had probably already turned into the demonic soul's food. The faces of those together with Jiyu changed drastically and they fled in all directions without anyone's order. This Jiao dragon even killed its own owner, so it was even easier to kill them. Watching the constantly fleeing crowd, the Jiao dragon's eyes revealed slight contempt. This was how these humans were, timid and afraid of death, yet also insidious and cunning. He shook his entire Jiao body and sucked a few times in the direction of those that had escaped. The sword masters who were fleeing all landed in his mouth. Although the Jiao dragon was a demonic spirit, but it could devour human cultivators to replenish his true energy. After all, after being sealed for so long, his soul energy was also very weak. Mo Yen, what should we do? Lu Muyen looked at the Jiao dragon not far away with fear. This was a genuine Tier 9 demonic soul. Even if he was currently weak, they still weren't his opponents. Mo Yan's deep and serene eyes not only didn't show any worry, but instead, a gleam of sharp light flashed past. This Jiao dragon's demonic soul is a great nourishment. If he could devour it and refine it, his cultivation base would definitely recover a lot. Lu Muyen couldn't resist twitching the corners of her lips. A Tier 9 demonic soul must definitely be nourishing. But as nourishing as it was, one could only look at it. Unless one could actually catch it and eat it? Do you have a solution? Lu Muyen saw that his black eyes were bright, so she pressed her glossy lips together and asked. Mo Yen pondered for a moment, then said, You lead him to a place where there's no one. I naturally have a way to deal with him. Lu Muyen still believed in Mo Yen very much. After seeing the Jiao dragon's demonic soul swallow Ji's group, it revealed an unsatisfied look as if wanting to continue, casting its gaze on them. Being stared at by a chilling gaze, Sinan and the others couldn't help but feel as if they weren't able to resist it. This was the gaze of a hunter staring at their prey, and everyone smiled bitterly inwardly. Who would have known that they were the ones hunting demonic beasts recently, only to become delicious food in the eyes of a demonic beast right now? The strength is barely enough for me to recover a layer of power. Unlucky. The Jiao dragon looked at Luo Yi and the others with disgust, as if he had already regarded them as food he was about to consume. Sinan and the others had deep creases on their foreheads. If you feel we're unlucky and disgusting, then don't eat us. Lu Muyen caught the heat in the Jiao dragon's eyes. Even if he disliked them, he would still not let them go. Let's go all out. Sinan also found the killing intent in the Jiao dragon's eyes. He endured his numb scalp and said to everyone, Either he dies or we die, let's go all out. Luo Yi also thought so inwardly, all right. The others also didn't want to die just like this, so they all took out their weapons and channeled their elemental energy into them, swinging towards the yellow-brown giant Jiao dragon in midair. Colorful sword lights gathered together to form a giant axe, combining the power of all the sword masters present, slashing down towards the Jiao dragon's head heavily. The Jiao dragon's eyes revealed a bit of playfulness and said in the human language, Overrating your abilities. Then he raised his tail and swept heavily, and the mighty axe was actually easily defeated. Piu. Luo Yi, Sinan, and the other high-level sword monarchs were all blown back and vomited blood. In just one move from the giant Jiao, it had given them a deep lesson, which also indicated that their lives might not be guaranteed. They were not reconciled, but there was nothing they could do. What could they do when they were inferior in strength to the huge Jiao? Just when everyone was in despair, Lu Muyen took out a profound ice jade box from her interspatial ring, opened it and closed it to the Jiao dragon, then said provocatively, "Follow if you want it." After speaking, she turned around and flew towards the distant dense forest without looking back and disappeared instantly. The Jiao dragon's eyes revealed a trace of madness and greed. He roared, ignored Sinan and the others completely, and chased in Lu Muyan's direction. Lu Muyen led the giant Jiao's demonic spirit towards the depths of the forest. The figures of one human one Jiao quickly disappeared in front of everyone. Yener. The streak of blood on Lu Mu Bei's lips deepened and he stood up in pain, chasing in that direction. Yi Qinghan's heart shook. He took out a pill to take and followed in Lu Mu Bei's footsteps. Mu Yen. He prayed that nothing bad would happen. Lu Muyen, that woman really has gone crazy. Luoli was completely anxious. She, a weak woman, lured the evil dragon away to let us escape death, but she didn't even ask us if we wanted that. He disregarded his injuries, saying angrily, and also chased after them. When the others heard his words, they couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips. Lu Muyen was a weak woman? Luoli must have gone blind. Let's also follow. Luoyes' injuries weren't as severe as the others, and Lu Muyen's actions just now shook him too deeply. Sinan's handsome face was slightly pale, and his eyes were filled with complexity and were difficult to comprehend. Lu Muyen, that woman, actually sacrificed herself to save them. Could it be that she was so confident that she wouldn't be swallowed up by the evil Jiao? It was a lie to say that he wasn't shaken. Halian Lai wiped the blood from his mouth with his hand and spit out a mouthful of blood. Even though he was in a slightly sorry state, but he still had a dashing and amorous feel, and had an incomprehensible expression on his face. Lu Muyen, that woman, truly had gone crazy. But why did he feel warmth in his heart? Ling Feiyang and the others were also shocked by Lu Muyen's actions. Just why was she so foolish? Everyone currently had the same perception in their hearts. Lu Muyen, in order to save them, took the risk to lure the evil Jiao away. This behavior was stupid and crazy, but it made them unable to resist remembering her in their hearts at this moment. Lu Muyen didn't know that her actions had currently entered the hearts of those proud children of heaven, and that from now on she would even be regarded by them as a close friend in life and death. She was currently desperately fleeing. Mo Yen, are we almost there? Lu Muyan's speed was at full force this time and she used both her spiritual energy and flash steps, but the Jiao dragon behind them chased after them closely. Damned, his speed is too fast. Almost. Rush in this direction. Mo Yen looked back at the Jiao dragon who was about to catch up and said indifferently. Bing Ji rolled his eyes at him surreptitiously. Boss Missouri was going to kill them at this rate. Was a Tier 9 demonic beast so easy to mess with? Lu Muyen bit her lip and while running she quickly formed seals. Her natal magic tool flew out of her body and stabbed towards the evil Jiao. Clang! As soon as the golden giant sword approached the Jiao dragon, it was knocked to the ground with a roar. Taking advantage of these few breaths of time, Lu Muyen accelerated to the limit of her body. When she saw a layer of white mist in the deep forest ahead of her, her eyes lit up and she headed in with a shoo. The natal magic tool that fell to the ground then turned into a stream of light and also flew into the white fog. The spirit of the Jiao dragon stopped in front of the white fog, gazing round and round at the white fog angrily. He just felt that there was something that he would be afraid of in the white fog, and it could even kill him. If he lost his demonic soul this time, then he'd really be finished. But when he thought of the soul-nourishing wood in the hands of that human woman, his heart couldn't calm. That was a divine-rank spiritual item, the soul-nourishing wood, which was exactly what he needed the most right now. If he obtained the soul-nourishing wood and attached his soul to it for nourishment, it wouldn't take long for him to recover to his peak phase Tier 9 strength. Afterwards, he could then find a Jiao dragon with good talent to seize its body and it would be perfect. Only those who took risks could obtain wealth. The Jiao's eyes revealed a ruthlessness and determination. He also entered the white fog. Center Castle. The elders of the 6 major sects took in all the previous scenes in their eyes, and they all revealed shock. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she entered a Class 2 danger zone. An elder sweated. Only when seeing Lu Muyen, who was almost caught up by the evil Jiao, enter the Class 2 danger zone, did the hovering hearts of the elders relax. But after seeing that the Jiao dragon lingered for a bit then also chased in, their hearts hovered again involuntarily. I hope that girl can escape this catastrophe. A kind-looking elder of the medicine sect said. The strong and sturdy elder of the 8 extreme sect sighed. This girl really is foolish. Although he said Lu Muyen was foolish, but the admiration in his eyes wasn't concealed. This girl had a very good character. If she remained alive, then he would definitely try to find a way to trick her into the sect. This girl is not afraid of danger, sacrifices herself to save others, has a good character, and has excelling talent. What a pity. The elder of the Spirit Tamers sect sighed and shook his head. Not to mention that this girl headed into a Class 2 danger zone rashly, but with also the Tier 9 demonic spirit rushing in, she would probably be in extreme danger. The other elders pitted as well, and even the wise elder of the heavenly secret palace had a trace of pity in his eyes. After entering the Class 2 danger zone, the array in the competition space won't be able to peek into it. Let everything depend on one's fate. While the several people sighed and pitted, no one noticed that the white-clothed man with excelling bearing sitting behind them had quietly disappeared in the central castle. Lu Mu Bai and the others chased towards the aura of the one human and one Jiao, but they lost their way when they reached the white fog. What's this? Yun Zmo knitted his brows tightly as he scrutinized the white fog in front of him. No matter what it is, let's go and then talk. Lu Mu Bai was anxious and walked into the white fog. Yun Lan and the others also didn't hesitate and followed him into the white fog. Luo Li and the others who arrived later knew that this was a Class 2 danger zone, but they also broke in without hesitation. But an astonishing thing happened. The group of people went around the white fog a few times and actually returned to the forest where they came from. Unwilling to accept it, Lu Mu Bai and the others went back in and circled around a few more times, but the result was still the same. Lord Luo, do you know why we can't enter? Lu Mu Bai turned to look at Luo Yi with a worried expression. Luo Yi was the strongest within their group of people, and also had the talent of divination, holding the richest knowledge. Luo Yi raised one hand and pinched his fingers to calculate. His knitted brows furrowed even deeper. After a long while did he sigh and say, "This white fog is the entrance to a Class 2 danger zone. It can block mental energy and elemental energy, and also has the power to confuse people. Without an opportunity one can't enter. Big brother, can you predict whether she's alive or not?" Luo Li's eyes was filled with worry. Luo Yi thought about it, then asked, "Do any of you have Lu Mu Yan's token on you?" "I have a bracelet of Buddhist beads gifted by my younger cousin's sister." Ling Fei Yang quickly took the Buddhist beads off his wrist and handed them over. The sorrow and worry in his eyes could not be concealed. Luo Yi took the Buddhist beads and spat a breath of essence. Then his fingers pinched to calculate endlessly. After a while he breathed a sigh of relief. She's still alive. Hearing Luo Yi's words, a glimmer of hope couldn't help but ignite within them. Lu Mu Yan, that crazy woman, definitely wouldn't die so easily. Lu Mu Yan, who broke into the Class 2 danger zone, didn't know that a group of people outside were worried about her safety. She was currently in a deep pond confronting the evil Jiao dragon demonic spirit who had caught up. "Human, hand over the soul-nourishing wood in your hands and I will spare your life." As soon as the Jiao dragon found Lu Mu Yan, he couldn't resist threatening. He just constantly felt that there was an aura that made him tremble and fear hidden in ambush, and so he just wanted to obtain the soul-nourishing wood and leave here. Lu Mu Yan didn't run away anymore. She turned her head and raised a slight arc on her lips. "What if I want?" Chapter 248. Danger arrives. What if I want? The evil Jiao was furious when he heard Lu Mu Yan's words. He had been imprisoned in that talisman for so many years and had long developed a strong resentment towards humans, only wanting to swallow them all down into his belly. "Humph, after I swallow you into my belly, I will naturally get the soul-nourishing wood." Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. "It seems that you're not that stupid." In her sea of consciousness she kept urging Mo Yan, "Hurry up, he's going to go crazy." As soon as Mo Yan reached the deep pond, he jumped off Lu Mu Yan's shoulder, and his figure kept dashing about everywhere. Lu Mu Yan felt his demonic energy fluctuate, but she didn't know what he was going to do. Done. With a flash, Mo Yan appeared behind the evil Jiao. Lu Mu Yan narrowed her eyes slightly and continued to provoke, "Swallow into your belly? You, a huge reptile, thinks you're worthy? You damned despicable human. I must tear you to pieces today." The evil Jiao's murderous aura rose. He hated those who said he was a huge reptile the most. The human who sealed him used to arrogantly call him a big reptile, so with the old and new grudges, hatred ignited instantly. "Little owner, you've completely angered him, we're finished." Bing Ji had transformed into his true form of an ice luan at this time. Although he was a little afraid of death, but he didn't leave Lu Mu Yan's side. Lu Muyen saw the evil Jiao open his mouth and spray a cloud of yellowish-brown smoke at her. She immediately shut her senses and held her breath. Using flash steps, she quickly escaped from the range of the yellow smoke. With a wave of her long sword, a hurricane-like sword aura headed over sharply. The evil Jiao snorted coldly, and with a few claws he tore apart Lu Muyen's sword aura. At this moment, Mo Yen, who had been lurking behind the evil Jiao, suddenly grew countless times larger. The cluster of flame-like marks on his forehead appeared lifelike, then it actually separated from his forehead. The clusters of flames separated from Mo Yan's body and instantly enveloped the evil Jiao. Then they heard the poochie sound of burning. It's actually the netherworld flame. The evil Jiao's demonic spirit was scorched and shrunk into a small yellowish-brown ball of light, and couldn't resist begging for mercy. "Don't burn me. Please forgive me, I'll do anything." The evil Jiao didn't think that after just escaping from the talisman, he would encounter a demonic beast who possessed the netherworld flame. This was basically the heavens wanting to destroy him. There were no ripples in Mo Yan's eyes, and he was extremely cold. "You've done many evil deeds and harmed many humans and demonic beasts in your previous lifetime, and you are enveloped in resentment. Leaving you alive is the true root of disaster." Lu Muyen nodded in agreement. "We can't let him go." This evil Jiao's demonic spirit carried a suffocating, bloody, sinister aura, which meant that he had slaughtered a lot before his death. Now he was even more resentful of humans, so if they let him go, he would surely cause great misery and suffering to part of this land. Listening to the shrill screams of the evil Jiao, Lu Muyen looked at the cyan-colored flame with a dim light that enveloped him. The netherworld flame represented the messenger of hell, a flame that could burn all souls, and was a divine rank flame that dealt with evil forces. Lu Muyen and Bingji were both surprised that the natal spirit flame in Mo Yen was actually the netherworld flame. No wonder he was so confident in dealing with the evil Jiao. Seeing that the yellow ball of light grew smaller and smaller, Mo Yen opened his mouth and sucked, and the ball of light was swallowed by him just like that. That evil Jiao was thinking about swallowing humans or demonic beasts all day, but probably didn't expect his demonic spirit to be swallowed by you. This is truly the cycle of the heavenly law and karma. Lu Muyen watched the cyan flame, together with the ball of light, being swallowed by Mo Yen and smiled lightly. So it turned out that the strongest natal talent of a spirit devourer was the netherworld flame, devouring all souls. It truly was strong. No wonder Mo Yen dragged his ass being pompous all day long. Lu Muyen now knew that he really had the capital to be so pompous. But she must say that she was very wise when she bought Mo Yen that time. She truly picked up a treasure. After Mo Yen swallowed the evil Jiao, a boundless power burst out from his Yaofu, while his gaze were light. "I'm going to go into seclusion for a bit, be careful yourself." Because that soul energy was from a tier 9 demonic beast, so its power was exceptionally strong. If he couldn't refine and absorb it in time, it would inevitably cause hidden dangers to his body. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyen was also aware of this. Go into the spirit pet ring for seclusion." Mo Yen nodded, then turned into a black light and entered the spirit pet ring in Lu Muyen's hand. Lu Muyen looked around at her surroundings, and suddenly felt a chilling sense of crisis. As soon as Mo Yen entered the spirit pet ring, he fell into a state of deep sleep for cultivation. She instantly said to Bingji, "Let's get out of here quickly." Bingji also instinctively felt danger approaching, and after Lu Muyen leapt up onto his back, he flapped his wings and flew high up. Yet who knew a sudden change occurred? A water column with boundless pressure erupted from the bottom of the deep pond and sprayed straight onto Bingji's body. Although he was flexible, but he couldn't avoid it due to the gap between the cultivation bases. Poochie. Then another water column leapt up from in front of Bingji and spurted out. He was barely able to avoid it, but his entire body was affected by the energy of the water column. Not long later, another jet of water sprayed out from behind. Crack. Lu Muyen heard the sound of breaking bones from Bingji's body, and her eyes grew cold. She turned around and concentrated her entire Buddhist spiritual energy on her natal magic tool and slashed at the water column behind. 2/3 of the bones in Bingji's body were broken and he couldn't bear it and fell towards the deep pond. Before he fell unconscious, he used the last of his strength to toss Lu Muyen out of the range of the energy that enveloped the deep pond. He said weakly, "Owner, run quickly. You must live." Then he slammed into the deep pool heavily and was quickly dragged into the bottom of the pool by a force that spread from below. Lu Muyen's heart felt as if it was stabbed by something. This stinky, gaudy bird was so afraid of death, yet he actually disregarded his life and tossed her out of the shrouded range of that power. But how could she leave him behind? She and they were all companions in life and death. I'm going to save Bingji. If you don't want to go, leave first. Mo Yin fell into a state of deep sleep due to the energy of the evil Jiao, so naturally it was impossible for him to leave. Her words were said to the human-eating blood thorn vine king and Miao Miao. She wouldn't force them to face danger together. Miao Miao will go wherever owner goes. Owner lives, Miao Miao lives, owner dies, Miao Miao dies. Miao Miao was wrapped around Lu Muyan's wrist, her voice tender and sweet, but extremely firm. The human-eating blood thorn vine king also turned into a wood bracelet and attached himself to Lu Muyan's other wrist. Shui is willing to follow owner and share life and death. The fact that owner could disregard her life to go save Bingji showed that she truly regarded them spirit pets as true companions. A powerful feeling rose in his heart. Such an owner was worthy of him to follow for eternity, depending on each other in life and death. Lu Muyan stood on the top of a high mountain and the warmth in her heart flowed little by little. All right, we're companions in life and in death. She believed that if Mo Yin was awake he would definitely support her actions. She tapped her toes lightly, flew down from the top of the mountain, and plunged into the deep pond. But as soon as she fell into the pond, she was grabbed by an invisible force below and dragged into the bottom of the deep pond. When Lu Muyan was pulled into the deep pond, a peerlessly handsome, white-clothed man appeared at the edge of the pond. There was a devilish and icy arc raised on his lips. Whoever dared touch his woman, he would kill anyone. Without the slightest hesitation, the white-clothed man jumped into the pond and was also pulled to the bottom of the pond by that invisible force. Lu Muyan was dragged by that invisible force and fell to the bottom of the deep pond. When she fell to the bottom, she saw Bingji, who had fallen unconscious, lying on a large rock, with a few thick purple-black tentacles wrapped around his body. Each of those tentacles had countless suckers and Bingji was currently a huge feast to be sucked and eaten. Lu Muyan exuded a coldness all over her body. She mobilized her natal magic tool to transform into a sword array and slash towards those purple-black tentacles. The natal magic tool refined from heavenly frost golden essence was indeed powerful, but at present, it was only equivalent to a middle-quality saint tool, and had yet to evolve, so only 1/3 of the tentacles were cut off. Suddenly, the water at the bottom of the deep pond stirred violently and a pair of fierce white eyes opened from within the darkness. He hadn't been injured for many years, yet this despicable human dared to slash him with a sword. He waved a few idle tentacles incessantly. While the tentacles on Bingji's body weren't retrieved, but he stopped the action of preparing to absorb demonic essence. Lu Muyan narrowed her eyes, and a layer of purple-gold flames overflowed from her body. Groups of flames turned into lotus flowers and floated away, lightly landing on the 10 golden flying swords. The flying swords fused with the purple-gold spirit flame flickered with golden light, and it was enveloped in a layer light purple, appearing rather bewitching. 9 palaces sword art array begin. Lu Muyan formed seals incessantly, and when the last Taoist seal was formed, she shouted softly. The flying swords surrounding the monster instantly spun and formed the force of 9 palaces 1. The monster's eyes were larger than buckets, and the whites were a little terrifying. When he saw Lu Muyan's sword array, he was slightly surprised and he spoke the human language with a hoarse voice. Human, your sword array is pretty good, but it's a pity your cultivation base is too low, so what can you do to me? Wouldn't you know if you try? Lu Muyan sneered. The monster opposite was a peak-phase tier 8 mutant octopus monster with rough skin and thick flesh, but the sword array that had added in the purple-gold spirit flame could hurt him. Humph! The octopus monster snorted coldly, and a few thick tentacles emerged from below and grabbed at the 10 flying swords. Lu Muyan's eyes chilled slightly, shift forms and exchange positions. As soon as her words fell, the 10 flying swords were as if they came alive. Whenever the tentacles were about to catch them, they would flexibly avoid them and instead the swords brushed past the tentacles in the opposite direction. Each golden sword carried a cluster of purple-gold spirit flames, so each time the blades brushed past the tentacles, the purple-gold spirit flame would jump onto and burn the tentacles. The octopus monster felt a piercing pain coming from the tentacles and he looked at the 10 flying swords with fear. Purple-gold spirit flame, you damned human, you actually have such a spirit flame. Who will die in the end is still unknown. Lu Muyan let out a laugh of ridicule, used flash steps, and swiftly avoided the tentacles the octopus waved over with boundless demonic energy. The octopus monster was huge and not as flexible as Lu Muyen and her flying swords. His eyes revealed that he was in deep thought, then his big white eyes closed. Lu Muyen suddenly felt a chill all over her body, her heart palpitations of fear kept coming and she thought that it would be bad. She jumped away from a tentacle and suddenly saw a gap in the octopus monster's forehead that trembled and a big eye stained with a bloody light opened instantly. Wung wung. A formless sonic wave came from the large eye of the octopus monster. Although Lu Muyen prepared herself, wrapping her spiritual sense around the core of the Sea of Consciousnesses, but she was still affected and attacked. Her head ached as if it was about to crack open and she couldn't resist squatting on the ground, holding her head with a trace of blood in her black eyes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the most powerful mutated skill of an octopus monster was their mental energy attack. As soon as his third eye opened, as long as one's mental energy hadn't reached the level of a tier 9 demonic beast, they would be shocked into an idiot. Lu Muyan's Sea of Consciousness was as if it was being pierced by countless needles. She didn't underestimate the octopus monster, but she really didn't expect that his most powerful attack would be a mental attack. Currently, her mental energy was still in a dormant state. Although she wouldn't become an idiot if she was attacked, but she had already lost her combat power. And those traces of mental energy carrying red light was still rushing towards her Sea of Consciousness. She clenched her hands tightly to endure the pain that were as if tens of thousands of needles were piercing her brain. The desire to survive was unstoppable. She couldn't just die like this. Suddenly, a warm, glaze-like light in her Sea of Consciousness passed by like a spring breeze, and the sharp needles formed from red mental energy that stabbed her Sea of Consciousness was annihilated. A glazed ray of light violently whirled out from her Sea of Consciousness, and she also fell into a coma. Meow Meow and Shui kept slapping her wrist nervously and telepathically called out to her, hoping that little owner would wake up. But Lu Muyan's long and dense black eyelashes were tightly closed, her face was peaceful, her body curled up, and layers of flame filament-like things wrapped around her. The octopus monster didn't expect that his mental energy attack would fail. Looking at the sleeping woman who appeared as if she was wrapped in a silkworm chrysalis, he had a bad premonition. He hurriedly stretched out more than half of his thick purple-black tentacles, gathered demonic energy and whipped over, wanting to penetrate her body. But as soon as the tentacles with demonic energy touched the glazed chrysalis, they were dissolved by an invisible force and the chrysalis tightly adhered to his tentacles, beginning to frantically suck his demonic energy like a bottomless pit. He was instantly shocked and slapped the glazed chrysalis hard, attempting to break free. Suddenly, a pure golden dazzling light swept down from above heavily, and his tentacles that were wrapped around Lu Muyen were completely cut off. H. The octopus monster screamed in pain, "Who dares sneak attack me?" Then he saw a white-clothed man with an outstanding figure and handsome, otherworldly appearance appear beside the chrysalis that the woman had turned into. "You deserve death." The man's voice was filled with endless chills. The icy coldness in the man's eyes appeared as if it would solidify this deep pond into ice, and he did just that. He held Lu Muyen in his arms and the golden long sword in his hand instantly turned dark blue. When his elemental energy was channeled in, the blue sword turned into countless blue star lights, covering the entire deep pond. The octopus monster found that he actually couldn't feel the other party's cultivation base and an aura of death enveloped him. He quickly retracted his tentacles that were on the ice swan's body, turned around and swam towards a black hole in the depths of the pond, his speed astonishing. "Go die." The white-clothed man had a calm expression as he lightly clenched his palm in the direction of where the octopus monster escaped. The water in the deep pond actually solidified into frost at an astonishing speed and the octopus monster slammed into the frozen cave with it, bang. He turned his head and looked at the white-clothed man in horror. Just when he prepared to self-destruct some of his tentacles to escape, he suddenly found that all the water in this space had turned into ice. He looked down at his body in disbelief and watched himself become an ice sculpture with his very own eyes. Meow Meow and Shui couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. They shrank their necks and leaned against Lu Muyan's wrist. The white-clothed man looked down at the woman, who was wrapped in layers of glazed chrysalis, in his arms and the coldness in his eyes dissipated, turning into a pool of warmth. Thankfully she's fine. Immediately he rolled up Bing Ji on the ground and the frozen octopus monster, and with a thought, disappeared from the deep pond with Lu Muyen in his arms. 250. Awakened after Lu Muyen fell into a coma, she felt that she was surrounded by a layer of warm light, gentle and soft, which made her not want to wake up immediately. The mental energy that was originally dormant in her sea of consciousness overflowed little by little, turning into glaze-like specks of light scattered in her sea of consciousness. The mental energy of her sea of consciousnesses that was originally about to be exhausted became active in an instant, and the waves formed from mental energy constantly slammed and tumbled happily. After a while, the area of her sea of consciousness gradually expanded and finally stopped when it more than doubled. After the white-clothed man brought Lu Muyen out of the deep pond, he carried her to a clean, flat surface. Then after the layer of glazed chrysalis gradually faded away, he pressed his thin lips together and reached out to remove her clothes. He took out his own red robe from his interspatial ring without any impure thoughts as much as possible and clothed her. His hand caressed her delicate and alluring face, his eyes dyed with a delightful love, and his palms instantly dried her wet hair with a trace of fire elemental energy. He held her in his arms and kissed her forehead. Looking down at the ice bangle she was wearing, there was a smile in his eyes. With a thought, he cut off the connection between himself and the ice bangle. "Woman, no matter when, you can only be mine." He leaned down close to her and whispered in her ear. When he discovered that the mental energy in Lu Muyan's sea of consciousness was constantly changing, a charming arc rose on the man's lips. Suddenly, a bird with orange feathers flew over from a distance and landed on the man's head. "Owner, if you don't go back soon, your substitute will be discovered." The man kissed Lu Muyan's forehead with sentiment and his voice was filled with deep affection. "Woman, we will meet again soon. Take care." After he finished speaking, with a wave of his hand, a circle of light formed from ice-covered Lu Muyan. The little orange bird looked down at the stunning beauty with her eyes closed on the ground and couldn't resist revealing slight curiosity in his eyes. So this was the woman owner constantly thought of and longed for. Indeed a beauty. The man stood up and patted his white clothes, then took a step and disappeared in the forest with the orange bird. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects were observing some people who performed well in this competition, discussing from time to time. After the white-clothed man returned to the room, the man who had been sitting in the last row with his eyes closed suddenly opened his eyes. This move was not even noticed by the wise, white-clothed elderly man from the heavenly secret palace. A day later, when the mental energy ocean in her sea of consciousness stabilized, Lu Muyen gradually opened her eyes. What entered her eyes was a cover made from a layer of ice emitting blue light protecting her. After sensing that she was awake, the blue light instantly turned into countless blue sparkles and disappeared in front of her eyes. She sat up and rubbed her brows. When she looked down, she saw that she was wearing a man's red robe and her heart couldn't help but be shaken. When she was sleeping earlier, she felt as if she heard a nice, magnetic and clear male voice speaking by her ear. It seemed like it wasn't a hallucination. Reaching out, she tied her hair with a ribbon casually, then raised her hand and sniffed the red clothes on her body. "Ming Xiu," she whispered with inexplicable emotions. Could it be that Ming Xiu was also a person from a large kingdom who was participating in this competition? But with his relationship with the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, that shouldn't be the case. Owner, you finally woke up." Meow Meow's excited voice entered her ears while she was thinking. She reached out and rubbed Meow Meow's head. Then she looked at the octopus monster that had been frozen into an ice sculpture not far away and asked, "Just what's going on? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Meow Meow wrapped around her wrist and rubbed it affectionately, saying sweetly and tenderly, "Earlier, owner was affected by the mental energy attack of the octopus monster and fell into a deep sleep. Then..." Lu Muyen furrowed her brows slightly after listening to Meow Meow's recount on what happened after she fell into a coma. "Are you sure that person was wearing white clothes?" That man not only dressed in white, but also looked like a fallen immortal." Meow Meow's eyes sparkled with stars. "But I just feel like he has a familiar scent, but I'm sure I've never seen him before." Lu Muyen's brows relaxed. Meow Meow had been in contact with Ming Xiu when she was still in her Jiao egg, so it was normal for her to be familiar with the scent on his body. But why did that devilish man wear white clothes now? And he exuded a warm temperament as if a fallen immortal? Was that even possible? Shui Shui also popped his head out and said, "Owner, that man is so strong. He only used his elemental energy and it froze the entire deep pond into ice. That Tier 8 octopus monster was also killed by him in one round." Speaking of this, he still had some lingering fears. It was truly fortunate that the man was owner's friend. Lu Muyen nodded. "He has always been very strong." Then she added in her heart that that devilish man was also very mysterious. She got up and changed the red clothes on her into her own clothes. She thought about it and still placed the red clothes into her interspatial ring. Then she walked to the comatose Bingji, took out a bottle of pills overflowing with medicinal fragrance and poured it into him. A layer of green mist covered her hands and she placed them on Bingji to repair his broken bones. About 2 hours later, Lu Muyen withdrew her hands and sat on the ground to recover. This time it could be considered a blessing in disguise. The mental energy she wanted to awaken by borrowing the soul-nourishing wood was woken more than half a year early, and her sea of consciousness even expanded by double. Her mental energy now probably also exceeded that of a sovereign sword master. Suddenly, a chill came from her wrist. At this moment, she could actually clearly feel the connection with the ice bangle on her hand. The invisible outsider's aura that had been hidden within had disappeared. The ice bangle expressed a kind of joy as if it liked her very much, and there was also some information about the ice bangle that appeared in her sea of consciousness. Dragon and phoenix bangle birthed together from the earth 10,000 years ago. The bangles are made of divine rank spiritual items. They are the most valuable treasures in the world, with 2 of them, split into 1 dragon, 1 phoenix, worn by a male and female owner who are in harmony with each other. Lu Muyen gently caressed the ice blue bangle on her wrist, and the talents it possessed was also transmitted into her sea of consciousness. Divine Phoenix Bangle? A playful smile appeared on her lips, so it could really heal injuries, expel toxins and speed up the growth of spiritual herbs. It's indeed a treasure. A tall and sturdy red-clothed figure couldn't help but be reflected in her mind. Mingxiu, where are you? En? Bingji slowly opened his eyes and looked at Lu Muyen in pleasant surprise. Owner, we're still alive. Lu Muyen said with a smile. Don't worry, we won't die. Humph, in order to save you, owner jumped into that deep pond and was seriously injured. You stinky bird is an idiot. Meow Meow stretched out her little head and glared at Bingji. Bingji's eyes were filled with emotion. He was just wondering why he was still alive, and the broken bones in his body were not only connected but also increased its strength. So owner saved him. Owner, Bingji likes you so much. After speaking, he turned into a 7-colored parrot and jumped onto Lu Muyen's shoulder and rubbed her arm. He actually wanted to rub owner's face and neck, but when he remembered that handsome red-clothed man and Mo Yan's cold look, he didn't dare. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him speechlessly. You quiet up for me. Bingji looked at her with an aggrieved expression but didn't say any more and stood on her shoulders to begin recovering and cultivating. Lu Muyen stood up and put away the octopus monster on the ground. She looked at the pond water that had been frozen into thick ice with pity and didn't have any more interest in exploring the octopus monster's cave. After her mental energy recovered, she could roughly detect the situation in the deep pond and there wasn't any spiritual herbs or spiritual stones that she needed. It was just that she felt that it was a bit strange for a Tier 8 octopus monster to live in this deep pond. Remembering that Lu Mu Bai and the others were probably worried about her safety, she had no heart to stay any longer either. She flew out of the mountain atop her golden long sword. Chapter 251. Preliminary round ends outside the mist-shrouded mountain forest. Lu Mu Bai and the others paced back and forth, feeling uneasy. It's been 2 days already, I wonder how Lu Muyen is? Zinan was very anxious. His worry for Lu Muyen's safety wasn't only because he was interested in her, but also because she could save his concubine mother. Luo Li's sunny and handsome face revealed a bit of decadence. He asked Luo Yi nervously, Elder brother, is she still alive? A day ago his elder brother predicted that Lu Muyen's aura had disappeared, and her life and death was uncertain, making their hearts sink to the bottom. Luo Yi took out the string of Buddhist beasts and calculated again. His furrowed brows relaxed a lot. She's still alive and her aura is stronger than before entering the forest in the beginning. I think she has encountered a fortuitous opportunity. Only after hearing him say that did their hearts also fall back in place. Yi Qinghan had been standing in front of the thick fog, constantly watching the movements in the forest. She'll be fine. Ling Feiyang sighed and patted Yi Qinghan's shoulder. He knew that Yi Qinghan had a deep affection for Lu Muyen, but he couldn't see that affection in his younger cousin sister's eyes. There was only concern for a best friend. Yi Qinghan rubbed his brows with a weary look. She'll definitely be fine. Qi Yishen's eyes were dim and there was an endless dejectedness. There was a voice in him that told him that Lu Muyen wouldn't die, but the gap between them was only getting larger and larger. She was surrounded by many of the younger generation's favored children of heaven, and he had faded out of her life already. He felt extremely remorseful. Why couldn't he cherish her in the first place? It was too late to find out her goodness, her preciousness, after she had already been lost. Suddenly, a golden light burst out from the thick fog, and everyone looked up and saw Lu Muyen flying over on her sword. Muyen, Yener, Lu Muyen. Yi Qinghan and the others shouted in unison. Lu Muyen guided the sword to land on the ground. "You're all here." Seeing the haggard look on Lu Mu Bei's handsome and refined face, she felt a little sorry. She went up and hugged his arm, saying with an intimate smile, "Elder brother." Lu Mu Bei's originally tense face softened a bit, and he sighed helplessly, tapping the tip of her nose. "You, always making people not worry enough about you. Don't be reckless in the future, do you hear?" He then warned with a rare seriousness on his face. Lu Muyen rubbed his arm with her face. "He'll listen to anything elder brother says." Luo Li and the others saw Lu Muyen reveal such a little girl attitude for the first time, and they looked at her curiously, then couldn't resist twitching the corners of their lips. She was better being more violent. If Lu Muyen knew the thoughts of the several people, she would definitely toss them the few words, "You're seeking a beating. Muyen, are you alright? That evil Jiao chased you into the forest, we went in to find you, but each time we walked back to the same place." Yi Qinghan's handsome face was filled with concern. Lu Muyen's eyes were stained with warmth. "The evil Jiao is already dead. I was injured a little, but I've recovered now." "You killed that evil Jiao demonic spirit?" Helian Lai discovered that the more he hung with Lu Muyen, the less he could see through her. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. "Do you think that's possible? I'm only at Sword Monarch Cultivation Base, he has the strength of a Sword Venerable." Although the evil Jiao's demonic spirit was Tier 9, equivalent to a Sword Saint Cultivation Base in human sword masters, but because it had been sealed in a talisman for so many years, and was only a demonic soul, its strength was only at Tier 8. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I think it's possible. Helian Lai smiled shyly. He really almost thought that the demonic spirit was killed by Lu Muyen. After hearing her say that, he couldn't help but feel relieved. Otherwise, compared to her, they would really have too large of a gap. "You really look too highly on me." Lu Muyen smiled. After the evil Jiao entered, it met an octopus monster at peak phase Tier 8. They wanted to devour each other and eventually both lost, so I picked up a bargain. It was naturally impossible for her to tell the others that the evil Jiao dragon was devoured and refined by Mo Yan's netherworld flame. If the evil Jiao wasn't in the state of a soul, then the current Mo Yan couldn't do anything about him either. "You're so lucky." Helian Lai couldn't resist laughing. He discovered that Lu Muyen's luck was really much better than theirs, and coupled with her excelling heaven-defying talent, she was really heaven's favorite. "Luck is also a part of strength," Luo Li said. Lu Muyen smiled lightly and said, "You have all been guarding here? How about the preliminary round?" After she finished speaking, she took out her identity jade tablet for a look. Her ranking had dropped below the top 10 again. "How can we be in the mood to earn points when we don't know whether you're alive or dead?" Luo Li glared at her. This heartless woman, she was still thinking about points. "Then now that I'm out, we're naturally going to go earn points. You all rest for a few hours, then we'll set off when it gets dark." She definitely wanted to enter the top 10 of the preliminary race. No one refuted her opinion. Now that she was safe, their passion for points was rekindled. "All right." In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects were relieved when they saw Lu Muyen coming out of the Class 2 danger zone alive, and they were even more determined to dig her over to their sect. In the last few days of the preliminary round, although Mo Yan fell into a deep sleep state, but Lu Muyen's mental energy had already recovered, so she led the several teams of people to hunt at night and killed many groups of beasts. The points continued to skyrocket, and finally, when her point ranking reached 3rd place, the melodious bell rang at the end of the preliminary round. The top 1,500 participants in the continental tournament for hegemony must gather in the central city within 3 days to continue the next round of the competition. Those who exceed the time limit will be automatically deemed to have given up the competition and will be sent out of the competition space. Remember, not long after the end bell rang, such a message was transmitted to each of their identity jade tablets. "We're only a day away from the central city, so let's rush over now." Luo Yi put away the jade token in his hand and said lightly. Luo Li took out the jade token, looked at it and said, "Lu Muyen, my elder brother, Sinan and I are ranked 3rd to 6th respectively, but Yan Jun, that guy, actually advanced to 2nd place, and the 1st place is a person I've never even heard of." It's normal for Yen Jun to advance to the second place. The person named Chu Han who took first place comes from a medium-sized kingdom and we've never heard of his name before either. It seems to be another dark horse. Sinan pondered, then said. Helian Lai sighed. There are so many dark horses this year, how can we, the elite teams of veteran large kingdoms, live? His ranking was 9th and this achievement actually exceeded his expectations. If he hadn't followed Lu Muyen to hunt beast tides, he would probably have been ranked lower than 30th. And among the top 10 besides Lu Muyen and the person named Chu Han, the person at 10th place was also an unknown small kingdom sword master. Many unfamiliar names also appeared in the top 50, which gave him a lot of pressure. Come on, what's there to be dissatisfied with when you've already advanced into the top 10? Ji Xian and the others are still behind you. Luo Li raised an eyebrow and said. After hearing Luo Li's words, a proud smile rose on Helian Lai's face. That's true, no matter what, your elder brother, I also crushed Ji Xian and the others. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. No ambition. She was very satisfied with third place. With that person named Chu Han as the one who stood out, she believed that in the second round, it would save her a lot of trouble. Chapter 252. The semi-final begins the next day. Lu Muyen and the others arrived at the central city smoothly. After entering the city, the surrounding streets were bustling with people coming and going, exceptionally lively, especially since the sword masters who were staying in the central city were all those who could participate in the second round of the competition, so they were naturally very joyful and most of them had smiles on their faces. The difference between the central city and the other cities was that the inns wouldn't give special treatment to contestants from superpower kingdoms or large kingdoms. After all, those sword masters who could enter the second round of the competition were considered to be the best among the younger generation of this continent. If they treated people unequally, then it would probably cause discontent. Lu Muyen and her party found an inn with an elegant and quiet environment near the border of the city to stay in. If it were up to Sinan and Helian Lai who liked luxury, they definitely wouldn't agree. But seeing that Lu Muyen had set her mind on this inn, they could only reluctantly agree, though in the end, they also booked more than half of the courtyard. After Lu Muyen entered the inn, she went directly to her room and arranged an array. Owner, are you going to dig out the crystal core of that octopus monster? Bing Ji asked as soon as Lu Muyen finished setting up the array, rubbing against her shoulder, fawning over her. Lu Muyen knew that he had been thinking about that demonic beast's crystal core for a long time, so she took out the octopus monster's corpse in amusement. The ice on it had not yet thawed. She casually tossed a cluster of purple gold spirit flame down, and the ice on the octopus monster slowly melted. She looked at the pool of water formed from the ice on the ground. Just what cultivation base did Ming Xiu achieve? This kind of elemental energy condensation into ice wasn't something that ordinary sword sovereign powerhouses could do. Seeing the look on Bing Ji, gazing until his eyes were strained, she couldn't help but smile. She stretched out her hand, took the crystal core from next to the octopus monster's heart and tossed it to him directly. Take it to refine. Bing Ji held the crystal core in his beak, and his eyes were touched with emotion. Little owner disregarded her own life to go into the deep pond to save him, and now even gave him such a precious crystal core. Originally, Bing Ji thought of going free and unrestrained after breaking the seal, but now he suddenly made up his mind to follow Lu Muyen well in the future. Following such a mysterious and powerful owner meant having a great future, and most importantly, little owner was too generous. Owner Meow Meow is hungry. Meow Meow looked at the crystal core of the Tier 8 demonic beast in Bing Ji's beak with a bit of envy, but not negative jealousy. Whatever owner did, it was right. Lu Muyen rubbed her head intimately, took out a few Tier 6 demonic beast crystal cores and put them in her hand for her to swallow. It's not suitable for you and Xue Xue's strength to eat high-level crystal cores. Wait until you both advance to a Tier 7 demonic beast. I'll go get some Tier 7 and 8 crystal cores for you two to refine. Meow Meow loves owner the most. The little white snake swallowed a crystal core, then rubbed against Lu Muyen. The crystal cores weren't as attractive to the human-eating blood thorn vine king. Ever since last time he had transformed into a wood bracelet and hung on Lu Muyen's wrist. Owner, get some more high-level sword master's blood for me in the future and I'll be fine. In the competition space, he absorbed a lot of fresh blood of high-level demonic beasts and already felt the barrier of advancing. If he could suck and consume some sword master's blood, he believed that he would soon be able to break through. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him and warned, "Don't always think about drinking human blood. Unless they're an extremely wicked and evil person or my enemy, You're not allowed to go randomly suck human blood, otherwise they'll definitely throw you out into the desert to accompany cacti. Shue's body froze and he deflated in decadence. As per your order. Little owner's words always counted. He definitely didn't want to go to some desert area where birds don't even lay eggs to accompany cacti. Although he preferred fresh blood, but it wasn't bad to have crystal cores to refine, so the few spirit pets went to refine the demonic beast's crystal cores with a peace of mind. There was a smile in Lu Muyan's eyes. After taking these spirit pets, life sure wasn't so boring anymore. Early the next morning, the people from the pill tower delivered the spiritual herbs she needed to the inn. The efficiency was very high and she was also very satisfied. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she remembered some information from the Phoenix Bangle previously, so she took out 100-year-old spiritual herb and placed it in a profound ice box. With a thought, a green fog of spiritual energy flowed from her palm and poured into the box, then she sealed it. If she was successful in accelerating this herb's growth, then she'd make a huge profit and would basically not need to worry about having highly aged spiritual herbs in the future. Compared to crystal cores, the few spirit pets preferred to eat pills more, but the pills she refined had practically all been consumed in the previous beast-tide battles. This time, having replenished her spiritual herbs, she spent 2 days refining pills. After another day passed, there were constant knocks outside her door. She put the last pill in a bottle and opened the door, seeing Luo Li's bright and sunny handsome face. Are you refining pills? Luo Li smelled the scent of pills as soon as he walked to the door. Lu Muyan nodded. The previous pills are all used up, so I need to refine some for spares. The corner of Luo Li's lips twitched when he remembered that she swallowed pills like eating candy each time. Then he remembered the formal business and said with a smile, let's go to the central square. Why go to the central square? You didn't receive the news from the jade tablet? Luo Li asked in surprise. He came to knock on the door because he saw that Lu Muyan hadn't appeared, but he didn't expect that she didn't know about it. Lu Muyan didn't pay attention because she was refining pills before, so now that she took out the jade tablet, she found out that the organizers of the competition notified them that in another hour, they should gather in the central square where they'll announce the next round of the competition. Let's go. When their group of people arrived at the central square, it was already filled with people and it was very lively. Lu Muyan and the others found a remote corner and stood there. She looked around and found many powerful groups. The elite teams of superpower kingdoms were generally not just one group. Just like for Luo Yi and Sinan's kingdoms, there were 2 other teams from their kingdoms and their strength wasn't bad either. As soon as the time on the notification arrived, a loud voice sounded in the central square. You are all sword masters from various kingdoms who have passed the preliminary round of this time's continental tournament for hegemony. First, congratulations. As soon as his voice fell, everyone saw a middle-aged man in white appear in midair and he continued with a faint smile. But don't be arrogant because the next 2 rounds are the key to whether you would be able to stand out. The top 10 in the first round will be rewarded with jade tablets. The information will be sent to the identity jade tablets of the 10 people later, which will be redeemed at the end of the second round. The second round of the Continental Tournament for Hegemony, which is the semi-final, will officially start tomorrow and last for 5 months. During these 5 months, you can use the ample spiritual force in this space to cultivate and raise your strength, or you can directly go snatch identity jade tablets. After 5 months, the identity jade tablet will remind you of the end date, and by then the top 500 who have the most of all 7 colors of identity jade tablets will enter the final round. Of course, what I'm talking about isn't just quantity but also quality. The person with the most cyan, orange, and purple jade tablets would naturally rank high in the second round. As usual, the point system is used, and the rules of the entire competition will be passed through the array into your identity jade tablets. By the way, a reminder, those who advance into the top 10 of the rankings in the semi-finals will still have rewards, and they're very generous rewards that will be distributed to you later. I won't say more. I wish you all good results. We will meet again in 5 months. After the middle-aged, white-clothed man finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared from the central square, and the originally quiet square also exploded into chatter in an instant. I decided to upload 2 a day again simply because I personally can't wait to reach the part where LMY and MX interact more, so I want to hurry up and get to those chapters and translate them. I love the pair too much, haha. Don't know how long the 2 chapter a day will last and it could be irregular, but definitely still expect at least 1 chapter a day. Chapter 253. Act separately. After returning to the inn, The identity jade tablets of Lu Mu Yen and the others flashed repeatedly, and the competition organizers sent the information one after another through the array. The semi-finals this time actually takes 5 months. It seems that we have to improve our strength as soon as possible. Helian Lai said while looking at his jade tablet. After coming into the competition space, in addition to the possibility of being selected by the 6 major sects and winning glory for their empire, there was also one great advantage. The spiritual force here was very abundant, and here was rich in resources. The speed of cultivation in this space was basically twice as fast as outside, so in each competition, there would be a period of time left for sword masters of various kingdoms to cultivate and improve their strength. Who knew that entering the top 10 would be rewarded with purple jade tablets? Not bad. Luo Li flipped through the information and said. Lu Mu Yen set her sights on the awards for the top 10 in the rankings of the semifinals. Unexpectedly, they were all spiritual items of heaven and earth. The power of the organizers of this competition sure were really strong. For the rewards for the top 10, I can only go all out, she said with a smile and put the jade tablet away. Hearing her ambition, the other people's eyelids couldn't help but jump. The second round of the competition wasn't to kill demonic beasts, something that could be easily accomplished by finding beast tides at nighttime. They had to face more than 1,000 geniuses from the younger generation. You're thinking about entering the top 10 again? The top 10 in the semifinals isn't so easy to get into. Helian Lai shrugged. His goal was to advance into the top 50. Lu Mu Yen glanced at him. Not promising. Only by daring to think can you dare to do. If you don't even dare to think about it, you might as well just give up directly. The rewards for the top 10 included 2 types of spiritual items that Mo Yen and Xue Xue needed to increase their strength. She must obtain it. Hearing her calm tone saying bold words, the expressions of the others changed, especially Helian Lai. There was an unpleasant feeling in his heart. Lu Mu Yen even dared to think it, why didn't he dare? So this was the largest gap between them? Shameless bastard, how about we compare who could advance into the top 10 in the semifinals? Last time he was only ranked 6th because Sinan did him dirty. This time he must get back at him. Sinan's expression was calm and he raised an eyebrow slovenly. Sure, you think he'll be afraid of you? The two attacked each other again and Luo Yi interrupted with a light cough. Are we still going to act together in the semifinals? He was certain that if so many of them set off together, the other teams would definitely run away when they saw them, and they wouldn't be able to snatch many jade tablets at all. What he thought of, the others also thought of, but it was difficult for them to voice it. After all, the ones that would drag them back would mainly be Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qinghan's teams. Of course, they didn't mean that they disliked them. If Lu Mu Yen still wanted to act together, they wouldn't object either. Lu Mu Yen could guess their thoughts and conflicted emotions. She smiled lightly and said, let's act separately. 1. We can let the enemy relax their vigilance, and 2. We don't have to worry about being unable to divide the snatched jade tablets because there are too many people. Then how should we split up? Luo Li asked. He and Sinan actually didn't want to be separated from Lu Mu Yen, but judging from the current situation, it seemed that they couldn't not separate. Well, be with my elder cousin brother and his group, and it would be best for you 4 groups to separate individually. Lu Mu Yen thought about it, then suggested. Then she added, of course you can also join forces to snatch from others. Either way, those who hold jade tablets of the same color can't snatch each other's for the first 4 months. Then let's not separate for the first 4 months. Luo Li said. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. How can we compete for jade tablets if we're with you? Those elite teams of the large kingdoms won't dare to come snatch when they see you, so how can I enter the top 10 then? Luo Li's forehead was deeply creased, so it was like they were dragging her down. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, those elite teams from large kingdoms aren't easy to deal with. You might all be in danger if you act independently. Sinan raised a key problem. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. We didn't come into the competition space to hide behind you and take a rank. How can we see a rainbow without experiencing wind and rain? That's not what I meant. It was also mentioned in the information in the jade tablet just now. If anyone steals the jade tablets of the top 10, the rewarded jade tablets will also become theirs. We're afraid that someone will deal with you specifically. Sinan smiled gaudily, but there was a hint of worry on his handsome face. Lu Mu Yan's strength was indeed good, but she relied too much on her rays. If someone impeded on her forming seals, then she would definitely be in danger. I'm begging for it. I'm precisely afraid that they won't come find me. Lu Mu Yen took a sip from her teacup confidently. As expected, high-end spiritual tea tasted very fragrant. Last time she saw this kind of spiritual herb on the list from the pill tower, so she bought some at a high price. Hearing her words, everyone fell speechless. Even they had to admit that she was definitely a troublemaker, causing trouble wherever she went. Their two teams indeed need to experience some life and death situations. It's better to be separated. Luo Yi, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke up. When one entered the competition space, then one couldn't be greedy for life and be afraid of death. It was necessary to cherish the resources one could enjoy and improve one's strength as soon as possible. If they formed a team together, the danger they would encounter would be reduced a lot, and they wouldn't receive much training. Yi Qinghan was also in favor of separation, not just because of his rivals in love, but also because he wanted to become stronger. Only in times of tension and danger could human potential be realized. We agreed to separate. Seeing that they all said this, Luo Li and Si Nen couldn't propose to form a team again either. Then our four groups should also separate. They only got together because of Lu Muyen. Now that Lu Muyen wanted to be separated, they naturally wouldn't think about being tied together. Lu Muyen took out a few bottles of pills from her interspatial ring and tossed it to them. You can all keep these pills for spare use. Let's meet in 5 months. Don't fall too far behind. She then stood up and added. The corners of Si Nan's lips twitched. Where did this woman get so much confidence? Don't worry, we'll never let you surpass us. If they let teams from small and medium-sized kingdoms surpass them when they've separated, then how could their 4 elite teams from large kingdoms endure this? Then let's wait and see. Lu Muyan's face was dyed with a brilliant confidence, smiling beautifully. Her confident smile was the most attractive, which resonated in the hearts of Luo Li and the others. Lu Muyan, I hope to see your name in the top 10 of the rankings in 5 months. Luo Li quickly hugged Lu Muyen, then let go, just a hug and encouragement from a friend. Lu Muyen patted Luo Li on the shoulder. Little wild cat, good luck to you all as well. Let's compete to see which group will have the most people advancing into the top 30. Let's compete then. Luo Li felt his heart tickle, then asked, are you going to cultivate first or snatch jade tablets? You still need to ask? Definitely cultivate first. Even if you go snatch jade tablets first, you probably won't see many people. True, then you all take care. You all as well. Early the next morning, the group of people divided into 5 teams, leaving the central city and began their journey in the semi-finals. Due to the effects of the Black Iron City wall, the spiritual force inside wasn't as abundant as in the mountains and dense fields outside. Therefore, the sword masters who entered the semi-finals all left the city to find a quiet environment to cultivate. Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan's 2 teams were also looking for a suitable place to cultivate after they left the city. Muyen, what sort of place are we going to find to cultivate in? Yi Qinghan asked curiously when he saw her searching around. Lu Muyen rubbed her chin and after pondering she said, find a place with the densest spiritual force. I think I've already found it. Follow me. Without Mo Yen, it was more troublesome for her to use her mental energy to search. Although the spiritual force of the mountains and forests in the outside world were abundant, but it was not as dense as the place where the evil Jiao chased her to last time. After pondering, she felt that it was more suitable for her to take them there to cultivate. There was a lot of spiritual force near the deep pond. There were no high-level demonic beasts around the territory that the octopus monster had occupied for a long time. And that place was also classified as a Class 2 danger zone where the Great Array couldn't monitor, so it was very secretive. In addition, other participating competitors generally wouldn't set foot in a danger zone to cultivate, so it was actually the safest for them to go there. When Lu Muyen brought them to the dense fog forest from before, Yun Ziamo said in surprise, isn't this that Class 2 danger zone? The most dangerous place is also the safest place. I was chased by the evil Jiao towards a deep pond. The place where the octopus monster and he fought until they were both defeated is abundant in spiritual force, and is very suitable for us to hide and cultivate. Lu Muyen smiled and replied. Her choices generally weren't wrong and everyone believed her. Alright, well, listen to everything you say. So Lu Muyen took the group to the deep pond occupied by the octopus monster. Sure enough, because of the pressure and fear caused by the octopus monster, there were no other demonic beasts appearing in the vicinity. The frozen ice in the deep pond still showed no signs of melting, and Lu Muyen had to sigh with emotion about Ming Xiu's abnormally monstrous strength. For the safety of the 2 teams, she took out the last set of jade stones she nourished and arranged a 9-palace array. From the outside, no one could detect their auras, and if a human or demonic beast forced their way in, they would also be lost in the array. Afterwards, she buried the set of jade stones needed to arrange the array in a place with the densest spiritual force. The spiritual force here is indeed much more abundant than outside, Mui said with a smile. Shi Feng didn't show much emotion, but his eyes were filled with joy. The territory occupied by a Tier 8 demonic beast will naturally not be bad. There just so happened to be a barren mountain near the deep pond. The group made a cave in the barren mountain and lived there, preparing to speed up their cultivation for 3 months before exiting to snatch jade tablets. Time passed in a hurry. A month later, Lu Muyen cultivation base advanced to middle phase Sword Monarch, and her foundation establishment stage was also in the late layers. When she reached peak phase Sword Monarch, she believed that her foundation establishment stage would be able to reach the final layer. Because of her special constitution, she could comprehend all the laws of heaven and earth, so even if her cultivation speed was double or triple the speed of others, her advancement speed was affected by it. She used her mental energy to probe into the spirit beast ring and found that Mo Yen was currently wrapped in a large net of blue flames, and his aura was sometimes strong, sometimes weak. He was probably still refining the octopus monster's demonic spirit. Owner, after staying in the cave for so long, let's go out and look for some spiritual herbs. Seeing Lu Muyan's cultivation base advancing one phase, Bingji knew she wouldn't continue to cultivate anymore, so he urged. Lu Muyan glanced at him. I'm really suspicious about how you cultivated your Tier 8 cultivation base. I'm a genuine Tier 8, so of course my talent is exceptional. Bingji raised his head proudly. With you being so lazy and only wanting to go out for a walk all day long, if you continue like this, Shui Shui and Miao Miao would have advanced to Tier 9 and you'll still be standing in the same spot. Bingji had a very active and lively temperament and simply couldn't sit still at all. It was already really good for him to have cultivated in the cave for a month. Lu Muyen really couldn't figure out how he used to cultivate to Tier 8. Bingji pursed his lips and muttered quietly, "Isn't it because my demonic energy is sealed by your man, so it's very tiring to cultivate? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, don't find excuses." Lu Muyen reached out and knocked him on the head. Ming Xiu suppressed the demonic energy in you, so it's difficult for you to cultivate now, but it can make the demonic energy in your body more pure, and when the seal is broken it'll have more benefits for you. You'd better cultivate hard, otherwise when Miao Miao and Shui Shui surpass you, he'll watch where you'll place your old face. Lu Muyen knew that this kind of blow would be more effective for Bingji, who loved face. Sure enough, Bingji's small eyes swept over Miao Miao and Shui Shui, as if he had been stimulated. Owner, I'll continue to go cultivate now. They want to surpass me? No way. He was already suppressed by Mo Yen. If those two things also surpassed him, then how much face would he lose? Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him. Let's go out for a walk first and along the way, get some crystal cores for you to come back to refine. Little owner is the best, then I'll cultivate when I return. Bingji rubbed his head against Lu Muyan's shoulder. Sycophant. Miao Miao snorted. Shui Shui also agreed with a response. Crazy flatterer. What do you two children know? Humph. Bingji snorted. Lu Muyen was too lazy to pay attention to them. Seeing that Lu Mu Bai and the others were still meditating and cultivating, she went out alone. There must be something special about this mountain forest for it to be classified as a Class 2 danger zone. There should definitely be no shortage of spiritual herbs and spiritual items. Now that her mental energy had recovered, she would be able to find what she needed with just a bit of effort. After leaving the cave opened in the barren mountain, she gave some maintenance to the array before leaping towards the depths. 5 days later, a purple figure fled in a sorry state, followed by a group of wasp-like demonic beasts the size of fists. Seeing a small stream ahead of her, Lu Muyen jumped down without hesitation. The large group of demonic beasts that looked like wasps were a little afraid of water, and wandered around the stream for a day before gradually leaving. Lu Muyen surfaced from the water and looked in the direction in which the demonic beasts left with fiery desire in her eyes. When the competition is almost over, I'll come to subdue you all. Owner, what are doing going to poke a scarlet bee's nest one? Bingji was stung a few times, causing huge lumps, and complained with a weak look. Naturally, to scoop out some scarlet bee honey. That's a good thing. Lu Muyan's expression revealed a bit of interest. And don't you think it'd be super cool to have a bee colony as a spirit pet? If she didn't have flash steps and a load of means to escape, she would have probably died in that scarlet bee nest. Bingji rolled his eyes. The thing is good, but you also need to have the life to take it. It wasn't easy to subdue such a swarm of scarlet bees. He felt that Lu Muyen was truly indulging in the wildest fantasy. Although the queen of that Scarlet Bee colony is only a Tier 7 demonic beast, but it could breed countless Tier 5 and 6 Scarlet Bees. Not to mention subdue, it was even difficult to get close to. I know. So isn't it that I'm waiting for until my strength advances a little more before going again? The fieriness in Lu Muyen's eyes didn't subside, but only grew stronger. Seeing the heat in her eyes, Bing Ji couldn't resist twitching the corner of his lips. Owner's hobby was truly weird. Lu Muyen was about to rest for a while, but suddenly turned her gaze towards a place not far away. There's a fight ahead, let's go and take a look. Chapter 255. Saving a beautiful man from evil clutches. Lu Muyen felt the aura of a human sword master and a demonic beast. After a while, the fight ended not far away and she sped up, rushing over. It wasn't that she wanted to take part in the battle. She just wanted to see if she could pick up a bargain and take some jade tablets. When she approached that place, she hid her figure and slowly felt her way over. Crossing a jungle, what entered her eyes was a lake with elegant and beautiful scenery. The trees reflected in the lake, gleaming and glistening clearly. It was just that such a beautiful and tranquil scenery was broken by the few people beside the lake. Ahead of her, a man in red whose face could not be seen clearly laid motionless on the ground, and around him were 5 other men who were also immobile. Most importantly, there was a tall and burly woman with her claws outstretched towards the red-clothed man and a lecherous look in her eyes. Lu Muyen couldn't resist twitching the corners of her lips and asked Bing Ji, who was already dumbfounded, "That woman is a demonic beast, right?" Bing Ji shuddered. "She's indeed a tigress. That man is so miserable to be molested like that." Although Lu Muyen couldn't see the man's face clearly, but she could still feel his anger, so she guessed that he was probably calculated by the tigress. "Beauty, just let Laonyang one enjoy you well." The burly woman rubbed her hands with a lecherous look on her face. Lu Muyen held her forehead. It sure was the first time she had seen a woman so unrestrained, although she was a demonic beast. "I'm afraid that man won't be able to man up again in the future." Bing Ji couldn't bear to look directly and felt much sympathy for that man. Lu Muyen sure didn't want to watch a live spring palace painting too. She originally wanted to leave, but seeing those red clothes that were so similar to Ming Xiu's, she stopped in her steps. "Want to eat a crystal core of a Tier 7 demonic beast?" She raised an eyebrow and looked at Bing Ji. Bing Ji swallowed. "Want to eat? Then I'll hand that tigress over to you." Lu Muyen ripped Bing Ji off her shoulder and directly tossed him out. "And it's also perfect to hone your combat ability. Don't tell me that a Tier 8 demonic beast like you can't even beat a Tier 7 demonic beast. If you can't win, then don't return." Bing Ji flew, and just as he was about to quickly fly away, he heard Lu Muyen's words, so he could only follow the trajectory of owner's toss and fly over. "But my demonic energy has been sealed." He didn't want to fight a tigress. What if the tigress took a fancy to him? Lu Muyen's lips curled up and smiled, telepathically saying, "But you're ultimately still a Tier 8 demonic beast. If you can't even beat her, you can really go die a bit." The threat in her tone made Bing Ji shudder. "Who?" Suddenly, an unknown flying object sprung out, and the burly woman who had already torn apart the red-clothed man's clothes raised her head and said fiercely. Bing Ji could only toughen his skin and stand firmly in the air with his small head raised and disdain in his eyes. "You, a tigress, really makes us demonic beasts lose face. You even use force against men. Humph, where comes a bitch parrot that dares to butt into Laonyang's business? I'll cook you once I'm finished here." Obviously, Bing Ji was only like a weak chicken in the eyes of the burly woman. "Bing Ji, you really lose face as a divine beast. When you go out in the future, don't say I'm your owner." Lu Muyen's telepathic words added fuel to the fire. Meow Meow said, "That stinky bird is a good for nothing. Owner, don't expect him to be able to deal with that tigress." "That's right, maybe he'll really be cooked by the tigress." Shui also joined in the fun. Bing Ji's old face flushed red. He was deeply belittled by his teammate just like this. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Humph, you tigress, don't you dare continue to bullying this male beauty. Bing Ji was dealt a great blow by them and manifested that into anger as he turned into his true form. A brilliant and beautiful ice wand appeared in midair. The eyes of the burly woman who originally didn't care suddenly lit up. Divine beast. Then she immediately smacked her lips with pity, but a pity that you can't transform into a human. Go to the side to play, don't hinder me from enjoying the male beauty. You shameless tigress, watch this little master punish the wicked and eliminate evil. Bing Ji didn't want to be looked down upon by Miao Miao and Xue Xue. He wanted to be the second boss. So with a wave of his wings, countless icicles immediately attacked the woman. The burly woman was in a very bad mood, having her interests being dampened. She raised her head and roared, then waved her fists directly to meet the countless icicles. The icicles were broken inch by the woman's air-shattering fist with demonic energy, then finally disappeared into powder. Bing Ji narrowed his eyes. This tigress sure had some skills. Bing Ji, go lure her somewhere else to fight. Lu Mu Yen said telepathically, if you win, I'll refine a grade 4 pill for you to take. Bing Ji was originally reluctant, but when he heard the grade 4 pill, it was as if he was suddenly given a stimulant and cursed the woman a load. You tigress is old and ugly and, I'm going to tear you apart. Bing Ji's blows obviously angered the tigress. Bing Ji said pei, with a slovenly attitude, then spread his wings and flew towards the opposite side of the lake. The woman turned her head and transformed into a giant yellow mystic striped tiger and chased after him. Lu Mu Yen climbed out of the bushes and blinked, muttering to herself, she's really a tigress 3. She could feel that the other party was a tier 7 demonic beast, but she couldn't tell what her original form was. Seeing the woman transform into her original form of a mystic striped tiger, she couldn't resist feeling sympathy for the red-clothed man. Since his red clothes reminded her of Ming Xiu, she decided to save him from the clutches of the tigress. Seeing that Bing Ji and the tigress had long since disappeared, she quickly walked towards the red-clothed man and squatted down to see why they couldn't move. What entered her eyes was a handsome face that was even more androgynous than Sinan with a devilish aura mixed in. The gorgeous red brocade clothes tightly wrapped his sturdy but not burly body. The neckline was torn open by the previous woman, and the scenery inside was looming. A pair of seductive amorous peach-shaped eyes were beneath his stylish sharp brows, and his half-open pink lips beneath his tall nose were extremely sexy. At this time, his face was pale, and his eyes were scarlet, probably because he was awfully angered that he was almost indecently assaulted just now. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes inwardly. He was indeed a beauty. No wonder that tigress was so impatient. However, she had seen countless beautiful men, and those she befriended were also mostly beautiful men. She was only astonished at first sight, but curbed her emotions. Although this man was devilishly handsome and charming, but he was still inferior to Ming Xiu. She saw that the man looked at her with surprise and slight embarrassment. A shallow smile appeared on her lips. He'll see if you all can still be saved. Knowing that the man couldn't speak, she placed her hand on his wrist to feel his pulse. She thought it was just poisoning, but who knew that this man was actually ill? No wonder he was subdued by the tigress with his strength. His illness probably acted up. I'll cure your poison first, but this pill isn't given to you for free. You'll have to pay me after you regain your freedom. Lu Mu Yen took out a white porcelain bottle and poured out a pill before shaking it in front of the man and saying. The man blinked his peach blossom-shaped eyes to indicate that he could. Lu Mu Yen squeezed his chin and fed him one, then walked to the other people and fed them a grade 3 spiritual cleansing pill. It only took a few breaths of time for the poison that the tigress used on them to be cured. Piu. The moment the man's poison was cured, he couldn't resist spitting out a mouthful of blood. One Laonyang is an equivalent to lousy and also an arrogant way of self-address, but for females. It literally translates to mother and father respectively, and also can be translated into your old mother and your old father when used for self-address, but it would sound weird said in certain circumstances, so I'm leaving it as its pinyin. 2. It is euphemism for paintings of bedtime activities between a married couple. 3. The word tigress is often used to describe strong, fierce women, often in a negative way. In this case, a pun exists as the demonic beast is literally a female tiger. Chapter 256. Heart disease. Lu Mu Yen turned around and saw the red-clothed man spitting out a mouthful of blood. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, the emotions in his eyes were curbed. He was pale and in a bit of pain, then took out a silk handkerchief and wiped the blood on his lips. Then he looked up at Lu Mu Yen and managed to smile. Thank you, Miss Lu, for today. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. You know me? Who does not know young Miss Lu and Chu Han's name now? The dark horses that advanced into the top 5 will naturally attract special attention. Yen Jun didn't expect that his sorry state would be seen by this woman, but seeing that she had saved him, the killing intent in his heart was gradually suppressed. What's your name? Lu Mu Yen felt that this man's aura was a little familiar, so she should have encountered him before, but she didn't have much of an impression. Yan Jun sat up laboriously, coughed sharply for a bit, then said slowly, "Yan Jun. So it turns out that you're Yan Jun who ranked second in the preliminary round." A cunning light flashed past Lu Muyan's eyes. Yan Jun came from the Yan clan of a superpower kingdom, one of the top smithing clans on Tianling continent. His position was nobler than that of a prince of an empire, and he was unfathomable himself. This was information she obtained from Sinan and Luo Li when they mentioned Yan Jun. "Please do excuse me." Yan Jun's pale face was covered in blue and purple and his breathing was a little short. He hurriedly took out a pill and swallowed it, and only then did his breathing gradually stabilize. "Your pill for treating your heart disease cures the symptoms but not the root cause." Lu Muyan looked at Yan Jun with deep eyes. Yan Jun raised his head sharply to look at Lu Muyan and asked weakly, "You're a physician?" "In a way." Lu Muyan nodded. There were physicians and alchemists on this continent. Physicians mainly focused on curing diseases, but they couldn't refine pills. Alchemists mainly focused on refining pills, but weren't as good at saving people, so the two complemented each other. Physicians were also divided into grades. There were many low-grade physicians on this continent, and basically every clan had a physician, but there were very few physicians grade 3 and above. They were the targets of many major forces to compete for and win over. After all, sword masters would also have hidden illnesses, and they could also encounter poisoning and sudden sickness, so they needed physicians to treat them. Of course, there were also people who were both alchemists and physicians, but they were even rarer, such as herself. After Yan Jun took the pill, the blue-purple color on his face gradually faded, and after a while he looked at her and said, "Did you know that I have a heart disease because you took my pulse?" The fact that he had a heart disease was not a big secret among the superiors of the clan. After all, his father, as the patriarch, often invited high-grade physicians home to treat him, but Lu Muyan, who came from a small kingdom, couldn't possibly know these secrets. This woman always gave a sense of mystery. Maybe she really was a physician. "Of course. Your heart disease is from birth and caused by your mother taking some kind of medicinal product when she was pregnant." Lu Muyan's face revealed a rare seriousness. Yan Jun revealed surprise, pressed his lips together and said, "I didn't expect Miss Lao's medical skills to be so brilliant. Miss, can you heal our young lord?" Suddenly, an ordinary-looking man behind Yan Jun asked eagerly. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Yan Jun never thought that Lu Muyan could cure his chronic illness. After all, even grade 4 physicians were helpless, so how could she, a teenage girl, cure him? But hearing his teammates' question, he couldn't help but feel hope in his heart. Even if it was very small, he didn't want to give up. Lu Muyan considered the advantages and disadvantages of treating Yan Jun, and she found that it wasn't bad to let this man with a deep background owe her a big favor. Before she left, Yanzhou Kingdom just gave her a feeling that a storm was about to arrive. If she recruited a few more talented elites from superpower kingdoms who were highly valued, it would definitely be beneficial for the safety of the Lu clan. "Actually, it's not difficult to cure your heart disease," Lu Muyan said truthfully. Luo Ye's blindness needed to be cured by finding several very rare spiritual herbs to create eye drops, paired with golden needles. Meanwhile, Yan Jun's heart disease could be cured by just using the repairing green mist in her dantian paired with golden needles. It wouldn't take too long either. Yan Jun's heart disease was carried from his mother's womb, and the main reason was actually due to the use of a medicinal product that caused his heart to be unable to withstand the baptism of elemental energy. If he were a normal person or a low-level sword master, it wouldn't trigger a severe heart disease, but as long as he cultivated above Sword King, his heart's defects would be exposed. The higher the cultivation base, the greater the chance of him getting sick. If he couldn't control it and repair his heart, then when he reached Sword Venerable cultivation base he might even lose his life. Yan Jun didn't believe her words inwardly, but he didn't reveal it in his expressions. He narrowed his seductive peach blossom-shaped eyes and asked with a smile, "Young Miss Lu, can you tell me my symptoms?" No one else knew about his symptoms when his illness breaks out, and he never told others either. He sure wanted to see if she really was capable or not. When your cultivation base had yet to reach Sword King, the disease would occur at most once a year. Each time you would feel your heart beat fast and some pain. When your cultivation base reached Sword King, the frequency of the attacks would increase to once every 3 months, and the pain also turned into a sharp pain. Lu Muyan looked at him with a smile yet not quite a smile and continued, "As your cultivation base continues to grow, the number of times the illness has acted up has also increased. Judging from your current appearance, Your illness should act up once or twice every month, especially in 2 or 3 days after a battle. You're bound to experience a pain that's worse than death. Seeing Yan Jun's beautiful eyes and pupils constrict, she added, every time your disease acts up, you have difficulty breathing, your whole body will be weak, your elemental energy can't operate in your body, and your face will gradually turn blue and purple. If you don't take the pill to control your illness, you will go into brief shock. Most importantly, you will actually be relieved of your pain, but it will take a few days to recover to your usual after each onset. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. I wonder if what I said is accurate? Yan Jun's expression didn't change, his eyes were calm, but his tightly clasped hands beneath his sleeves revealed his unsettled heart. Young Miss Lu is completely right. It would be a lie to say he wasn't shocked. Even the grade 4 physician who treated him couldn't describe his symptoms so accurately. At this time he couldn't help but believe that she really knew what she was doing. Why do you fight so hard? Don't you know that the higher your cultivation base, the more serious your heart disease will be? When you reach Sword Venerable, maybe it might even be the end of your time. Lu Muyen said bluntly. Yan Jun revealed a wry, bitter smile. There are some things where I can't choose what I want. Lu Muyen didn't ask much. She knew the battles in large clans were very complicated, and even pulling one hair would move the entire body. Yan Jun knew the danger but still continued to cultivate desperately. He naturally had his own reasons. True. In addition to the resources and status given by one's identity and background, there was also responsibility and freedom to give up. Lu Muyen nodded in understanding. Yan Jun's eyes revealed a bit of strangeness. He obviously didn't expect Lu Muyen to say such profound words. After all, judging from the information he obtained, her Lu clan was only a small clan, and the Lu family loved her very much since she was a child. She shouldn't understand the intrigue of those large clans. Then what young Miss Lu means is that you can cure my heart disease? This was what he cared most about. One meaning that doing something minor might cause a huge ripple effect of sorts. Chapter 257. Payment? Then what young Miss Lu means is that you can cure my heart disease? Lu Muyen said with a light smile. Naturally I can. If you have any conditions you can say it. Yan Jun's amorous eyes contained a firm look. Even if there was only a 1% chance, he didn't want to let it go. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. Are you that certain ill help to treat it? Since you, yourself, admitted that you can cure it, then you must have already made a decision. It now only depends on whether the things I give you can make your heart move. Yan Jun was a smart person, so he dared to conclude that Lu Muyen would help him with the treatment. You sure know how to take an opportunity. Lu Muyen chuckled. Before we discuss the treatment of your heart disease, shouldn't we talk about the payment for rescuing you from the tigress just now? At the mention of that tigress, Yan Jun's face instantly turned dark. This was a stain in his life. If it weren't for Lu Muyen just now, although he still had a trump card to not be forced by the demonic beast, but the price he had to pay would be very high. What kind of payment do you want? Lu Muyen already asked for a reward before removing the poison for them. At the time he already promised, so he naturally wouldn't go back on his promises, not to mention that he also counted on her to treat his illness, although he had little hope. Just give spiritual stones. Lu Muyen said generously. The spiritual stones on her were pitifully few. She heard that the auction in the central city would be held in 3 months, so she should at least prepare some spiritual stones. Yan Jun's eyes were dyed with a slight smile. Just spiritual stones? Such a requirement was indeed a little low. I want spiritual stones. How much do you think you should give? Lu Muyen nodded. Yan Jun thought about it and said, how about giving you 10,000 low-quality spiritual stones? 4 sword masters below Sword Venerable, 10,000 spiritual stones could already be regarded as huge wealth. Sure. Lu Muyen felt that the payment given by Yan Jun was still quite high. After all, Mu Tong only spent 2,000 spiritual stones to buy that black crystal diamond and felt so pained. This was the gap between elite pupils of superpower kingdom clans. Then can we talk about the treatment now? Yan Jun said with a smile. Although his face was still pale, but he couldn't hide his devilish aura. Ming Xiu also occasionally revealed a devilish charm, but he and Yan Jun were 2 completely different types of people, and their temperaments were very different. Sure. Is just treatment of a heart disease trivial? For her, it really was trivial to treat diseases that could be cured without needing to refine pills with spiritual herbs, but her words changed flavor in Yan Jun and the others' ears. The expression of the man who had requested of Lu Muyen changed and couldn't help but regret, wondering if he was too reckless just now to even believe that a teenage girl could cure young lord. The corner of Yan Jun's lips twitched. Why did Lu Muyan's tone sound as if she needed a beating? The hope that rose from the bottom of his heart was also about to dissipate. For a disease that even a grade 4 physician couldn't cure, she, a nobody physician, was probably only strong with her words. Then ill trouble Miss Lu. I wonder what I should prepare. Yan Jun thought about it and still prepared to give it a try. There wouldn't be any loss anyway, and he had a good impression of Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen could see that they didn't believe her, but she didn't bother explaining. She had always been a proactive person. You don't need to prepare anything, it's enough for me to prepare. Lu Muyen's expression was light. The suspicion and disappointment in Yan Jun's heart were even stronger, but he still asked with a smile, Then I wonder what kind of payment Miss Lu wants? So that I can prepare. How much do you think your life is worth? I just want some spiritual stones and a personal favor. Although Lu Muyen was somewhat interested in the magic tools refined by the Yen clan, but right now spiritual stones were more useful to her. The color in Yan Jun's eyes changed, then the corner of his lips raised. Sure. If you can really cure my heart disease, I will pay you 100,000 low-quality spiritual stones and a personal favor within my power. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. 100,000 spiritual stones was also a huge expense for him, but it was within the range he could bear. It merely meant that the cultivation resources for the next few years were used in advance. If it could be exchanged for his recovery, then it was worth it. Refreshing. Then that's settled. Lu Muyan's eyes narrowed into a crescent shape with her smile, indicating that she was in a pretty good mood. Yan Jun really deserved to be the young lord of the top clan in a superpower kingdom. One move and it was 100,000 spiritual stones. It was likely that there weren't so many spiritual stones even shared between many clans. Do you want a contract? I don't have a contract text on me, but I can buy it in the central city. Yan Jun asked with a smile. A contract text was a kind of contract stone refined by an array master. After the text was engraved, both parties would sign it with blood. If there was any violation, they would be punished by the laws of heaven and earth. No need. It's troublesome going back and forth. Since I dared to come to save you, then I naturally trust you. Lu Muyen wasn't afraid that Yan Jun wouldn't pay up. She was both a physician and an alchemist. If Yan Jun was cured, the other party would only want to win her over and wouldn't go back on his words just for 100,000 spiritual stones, nor would he get rid of her. After wandering around in the immortal cultivation world for so long, she could still read people very accurately. Yan Jun's face revealed slight joy. The feeling of being believed in was indeed pretty good. All right. Then I wonder when we will start the treatment? How long will it take? Any time. Around 3 days. Lu Muyen set a conservative time frame. In fact, with the powerful repairing ability of the green mist in her dantian, Yan Jun's heart could be repaired in 1 day, but in order to not be so amazing, she decided to treat it in 3 days. After listening to her words, everyone didn't feel happy at all, but instead, disappointed. An illness that even a grade 4 alchemist couldn't cure, she only needed 3 days and she didn't need to prepare other things. Go lie to a ghost. Young Miss Lu, you aren't joking with us, are you? One of them couldn't resist but say. Lu Muyen could understand their disbelief, but she didn't like others questioning her. Her smile sank and she snorted coldly, treat or don't treat, suit yourself. After she finished speaking, she turned around and prepared to go see if the stinky bird Bingji had settled the tigress or not. Her spirit pet better not have been tainted by that tigress simply in order to rescue a stranger. Seeing her angry turn around and leave, Yan Jun's eyelids jumped. This woman really couldn't be offended. The man who questioned Lu Muyen had a very ugly expression and he didn't know what to say either. Even if he really didn't believe that she could save him, but he couldn't resist but want to give it a try, otherwise he'll feel unreconciled. Their young lord was a soul-like being of their lineage. If he had an accident, they wouldn't have any way to survive in the future either. Young Miss Lu, why be angry? My teammates only said rude words because they were worried about my condition. I apologize to you instead of him. He endured it for that sliver of hope. The face of the person who spoke revealed some embarrassment and was touched. He decided to be loyal to Yan Jun even more. He also secretly decided that if Lu Muyen could treat young lord, he would thank her even if he had to be a cow or a horse one for her. If she couldn't treat him, then he definitely wouldn't give her any good fruit to eat too. Lu Muyen turned around and looked at Yan Jun, who had a calm expression, but was holding back. A smile rose on her face, Able to be flexible, what a person you are. When my spirit pet returns, the treatment can begin. Yan Jun looked at her in surprise and asked, "You meant to say that you can treat me in just a little while?" Of course. 1. An idiom meaning that he would do anything. 2. A saying meaning that they wouldn't treat her well and may even do her bad. Chapter 258. Treat heart disease. Lu Muyen had been observing the movements of Bingji with her mental energy. Although she believed in his ability, but she was also afraid of any accidents. Bingji usually acted pretty silly, would be rather slovenly from time to time, and would also be lazy while cultivating, but because he was the descendant of the Cyan Yuan divine beast with a pure bloodline and exceptional strength, his own abilities and innate talents weren't average. Sure enough, after a while, a big cyan blue ice Luan bird returned with a yellow and white mystic striped tiger. Owner, I'm back. As soon as Bingji flew to the lake, he tossed the corpse of the mystic striped tiger on the ground, his eyes glistening brightly to ask for credit. Lu Muyen took out a bottle of grade 3 pills and tossed a few over. You did a good job. Bingji swallowed the pills in his mouth in only a bit, but still looked like he was unsatisfied, and thought about the grade 4 pill that owner said she would refine. The behavior of the one human and one beast stunned Yan Jun and the others. Young Miss Lu, are you giving grade 3 pills to your spirit pet to eat? As soon as Yan Jun saw Lu Muyen pour out the pills, he smelt the fragrance and it was definitely grade 3 pills. Lu Muyen said unconcerned, "Yeah. What's wrong?" Since she was able to refine a variety of grade 3 pills, she had no more grade 2 pills. After her cultivation base entered initial phase Sword Monarch, the fire elemental energy she condensed could already be used to refine grade 4 pills. Yan Jun and the others couldn't resist but twitched the corners of their lips. He said with a smile, "Could you allow this one to take a look at the pills? I'll just gift you a few. Take it as a gift for your 100,000 spiritual stones." Lu Muyen took out a bottle of spiritual energy recovery pills and a bottle of elemental energy nurturing pills and threw them other. Yan Jun caught the bottle and poured out the 2 types of pills contained within it. One was pure white, while the other was a full and clear light yellow. He placed it close to his nose and sniffed it, then his eyes revealed surprise. These pills are like the force nourishing pill and elemental condensing pill, but it also feels a little different. A bit of admiration flashed across Lu Muyen's beautiful eyes. These 2 pills have similar effects to the force nourishing pill and elemental condensing pill. However, my spiritual energy recovery pill can be used by sword masters at Sword Monarch cultivation base where, using only one, it can restore at least 2/3 of elemental energy, and the elemental energy nurturing pill can not only improve one's cultivation base, but also nourish one's elemental energy and consolidate one's origins. The efficacy of these 2 pills is better than that of the pill tower's force nourishing pill and elemental condensing pill. As an elite pupil of a large clan, Yan Jun could naturally distinguish the grade of pills at a glance. The 4 pills that Lu Muyen took out were all top-quality grade 3 pills, and even a grade 4 alchemist might not be able to refine such high-quality pills. He was curious, but it wasn't good to ask more. That's natural. The elemental condensing pill of the pill tower can improve cultivation base, but can't nourish one's elemental energy and consolidate one's origins, while my elemental energy nurturing pill could even stabilize one's cultivation base on top of the effects of the elemental condensing pill. Lu Muyen paused, then said, "And the elemental energy nurturing pill can make the elemental energy even purer, but it doesn't need to be taken long-term. About 10 pills is enough to be effective." It actually has such an effect. Yan Jun was dubious inwardly, but judging from the fragrance, quality and grades, they indeed surpassed the force-nourishing pill and the elemental condensing pill of the pill tower. Lu Muyen chuckled and raised an eyebrow slightly. "If you don't believe me, you can try one now. Either way, most of the elemental energy in your body has been depleted. I guarantee you will recover after taking 1 pill." Yan Jun couldn't resist twitching the corners of his lips again. It wasn't as if he had a problem to take this kind of pill that could instantly replenish his elemental energy now. Such pills were a means of saving his life. That's not necessary. Let's wait for a critical time in the future to use it. Whatever you like. After speaking, Lu Muyen swept the surrounding environment, then pointed to the direction where Bingji chased after the tigress and said, "I'll treat you now. I'm afraid that if I'm out for too long the others will be worried." Then she put away the corpse of the mystic striped tiger on the ground. This was Bingjia's trophy. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Seeing her confident look, Yan Jun pressed his lips together then said, "All right. Since he agreed to her treatment, then he might as well give it a try. Even if he couldn't be cured, he wouldn't find trouble for her for the sake of these pills. The people found the tigress cave in the dense forest by the lake. Lu Muyen looked around and found some spars and a few golden iron tree leaves. She put them away, filled with smiles, in front of Yan Jun and the others. Golden iron tree leaves were good things and was rare even in the immortal cultivation world. Who knew where the tigress obtained it from? Yan Jun and the others didn't intervene either. After all, the tigress was killed by Lu Muyan's spirit pet. They naturally wouldn't take it by force. Moreover, the Tier 6 Ice Luan divine beast could even kill a Tier 7 demonic beast, which also made them very cautious. Lu Muyen was rather satisfied with the tigress cave, but she just didn't like the smell of a tiger. She took out a pink medicinal pellet, squashed it gently, and a faint fragrance wafted out. After a while, the stinky smell in the cave disappeared. Seeing that she took out pills and medicinal pellets with such familiarity, the several people believed that she knew some medical skills, but it was unknown whether she was indeed as powerful as she said she was. An array was arranged outside the cave, then Lu Muyen said to Yan Jun, "Take off your clothes." Cough cough. Hearing her suddenly tell him to take off his clothes so confidently, embarrassment rose on his face. Is this necessary for the treatment? If he didn't know that she was going to treat him, he would have thought she was going to mimic the tigress and molest him. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes. Obviously, with just your skinny body, it can't even enter this Miss eyes. Yan Jun didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Wasn't his figure very standard? Or was he skinny? Yan Jun's 5 teammates couldn't resist and they held back their laughter. This woman named Lu Muyen was really interesting. Because of the need for treatment, although Yan Jun felt embarrassed, but he still took off his shirt to reveal his sturdy upper body. Lu Muyen sat behind him, stretched out her hand and poked it casually. Who knew that you look skinny but you have some material after taking it off? Yan Jun's face darkened. Was he being teased? Miss Lu, let's begin. There was a trace of suppressed anger in his voice. Lu Muyen's lips raised into an arc. She precisely wanted to arouse Yan Jun's slight anger, which would be more helpful for her to pinpoint the defect in his heart. Her little face grew serious in an instant. She formed a few Taoist seals and inserted them into Yan Jun's body one by one, took out a pill for him to take, then used her golden needles to find the acupuncture points and stabbed in. When the golden needles formed a shape similar to the 8 trigrams, she stretched out her hands and gently stroked the back of the needles. A little bit of spiritual energy flowed out from her palm, and the spiritual energy containing the green mist was channeled into Yan Jun's body through the golden needles. 4 hours later, the tip of her nose and forehead were covered with a layer of fine sweat, and Yan Jun's pale face became much rosier. When Lu Muyen treated him, it wasn't as painful as he imagined. Instead, a warm spiritual energy baptized his heart over and over again, making him feel extremely comfortable. Lu Muyen took out a spiritual energy recovery pill and took it. Well, finish here for today. Take care of yourself a little and well, continue tomorrow. Seeing that she took a spiritual energy recovery pill even in such a situation, the several people couldn't resist but scold inwardly. How prodigal, what a prodigal woman. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.